Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and stand up and face Jerusalem. Get cured and stuff. Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be done,
on earth
on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debt,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
And these things we pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus' name.
The Holy One of Israel,
The Holy One of
the
Israel,
Mighty One of Jacob,
Mighty One of Jacob,
King of Kings,
King of Kings,
and Lord of Lords.
Lord of Lords.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Question and answer. Anybody got anything to start off with?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, ladies first, ladies first.
The old cat first. Nah, go ahead. What you got?
Okay, so when it comes to marriage, what exactly says that you are married, or how do you know that you're supposed to even go and get that paperwork at the courthouse or get married in front of your fellow brothers and sisters and stuff like that?
Okay. Well, that's what marriage is. You have to know is a covenant. So marriage is a covenant, and okay. So that's an agreement. So it's nothing says you know when you're supposed to get married or go to the courthouse, because nobody have to get married, like we read in the lesson. So nothing really says that. So I kind of guess you kind of, ahead of game a little bit, sometimes. But in and of itself, that's a choice to make this covenant or not. Now, what it sounded like you was getting to is, if you're getting a little frisky, at what point does it say, well, okay, we getting frisky, we need to do something? And the Bible give you that. But all in all, marriage in itself is the covenant, it's the agreement to be one. We know, man and woman, not two men, two women, none of that. Mm-hmm. It's the agreement, it's the covenant. And so now some things necessity, because in Israel we know a little bit, we know more than the average people go to the average church when it comes to stuff like this. So it's a thing that kind of goes around and said, well, when you sleep together, you marry, so that's kind of common knowledge. And there's some truth to that, but like I said, you really got to understand that what marriage is. Marriage is the covenant. It's the agreement in itself to operate. So let's see what he says, though, concerning. So let's go to Exodus, the 22nd chapter, I believe it is. It's in Deuteronomy as well. But here in Exodus 22, and this is common scripture, like I said, this one and this another one in Deuteronomy, that kind of share some insight on this matter. Exodus 22, and just get right to the point, verse 16. Exodus 22 and verse 16. Read that.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Okay, so now we got some things going on here, but we'll read verse 17, because we can, we have to understand what the scripture saying and do the best we can do under the circumstances, because so everything might say, well, that don't really apply. Yeah, but under normal circumstances, that being equal, it's okay. So, and we'll get to that. But go ahead, verse 17.
If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgin.
Okay, so all this lets you know, first of all, that, and this is where the questions usually come in at, that sleeping together with having sex laying together, which a lot of times today, probably more so than in the past, but evidently it went on back here because he's telling you that people would do the do before they said I do.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of, he said it back here, he let you know. And it's probably more commonplace now because that's the way it is. So, but it lets you know that comes with some requirements. So people say, well, if you sleep with a woman, you know, and we've been telling brothers that to a degree for years, where if you sleep with that woman, then that's your wife. And that's kind of it, but really it's not your wife until you marry her.
Right.
But it necessitates you getting married is what this is saying. It necessitates you making the covenant. Marriage is the covenant. So that's what he's saying here. And then the father had the final say because that was you went out of order. But he said, verse 16, and if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, that's number one, and lie with her, that means they come together and sleep together, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So he had to go through the channels now. Technically, you should have went through the channels first. That's the proper order of the thing. But God understands, and that's what's good about God. God will work with man's, weaknesses, inequities, doing things out of order. God said, that's okay. You did it. You jumped it. Just, you got to do it now.
Right.
And that keeps all the mess down. That keeps just sleeping around, fornication, thinking it's okay. So if you understood that, you say, yeah, you think twice about getting so frisky. Because he's telling you that. He said, if a man entice a maid, now, like I said, something, it might not necessarily apply, because a maid did mean virgin. That's what it meant. So, but a brother can't say, well, she was virgin, so, well, it's just okay then. That still don't, that still doesn't make it okay, but it was talking about virgin. That just shows you how things should have been in the first place. So the key is, she hadn't been with nobody else, and she wasn't promised to nobody else. She wasn't promised to nobody else. She wasn't already spoken for, so to speak. If a man entices a maid that is not betrothed do mean married. That's what it means. It means married. And that shows they kind of kept it straight for the most part. They tried to keep it in order where they got married, made the covenant, agreed to be together, and they laid together later. Yes, ma'am.
So would that be safe to say that they did have some form of documentation that they got married? Or was it just the pay of a dowry and that was it?
Yeah, it might have been.
Or
It wasn't like state documentation or nothing, but everything still. It was still some type of legalities, because like you say, he talked about dowry and witnesses and stuff like that. So it was some type of legality, but it didn't, wasn't like state like as we know it. So, and that's secondhand when it comes to the state. I'll put that in there. When it comes to state, that's secondhand. That's fine, and that gives you in marriage when you get a marriage license and get married through the state. That's good to do. That gives you all the rights and benefits. But that's not necessarily in God's eyesight. And nobody could tell me that if a man take a woman, marry her, have 5 kids together, and they stay there for 50 years and don't never have a state license, that God is going to say, well, y'all did good, but y'all never went down to Secretary of State, so just would have went down there and got that. That's not, and even the state understand that. State will recognize what we call common law marriage.
Yeah.
So the state, so it's not even like some people say, well, that's the laws of the land. That's the law.
Do that here,
Yeah. They don't do it.
Don't recognize it.
They don't do it. Yeah, they do it in a lot of jurisdictions, not all, but they do it. But that shows that. And the other thing is, they're not gonna put you in jail. So that's really the key. They're not gonna say, y'all didn't go get married. I'm getting ready to lock you. They're not gonna do that. So, because some people say, well, you got to follow the laws of the land. The laws of the land don't demand 2 people who live together go get a marriage license and do all of that stuff. Especially they can't demand it now, because they went from man and a woman and 2 men and all that crazy stuff. They better not say nothing now. So that's the key. if he enticed this woman, and it said maid, and then the key is she is not betrothed, meaning she is not already. It's more than engaged. It's really married because again they look at it. It's the covenant. It made the agreement been made. They just hadn't made it official and consummated it, but the agreement had been made. So even though they hadn't slept together, it was like, like for instance, Jacob and Leah, they were betrothed. That was already a deal made. Well, it wasn't Leah, I'm sorry, it was Rachel. That was a deal made, before the actual time came for them to come together. That's why when the time came, he hadn't slept with the woman. Once the 7 years was up, he said something. He said, give me my wife that I may know her. In other words, he's like, that's my wife. Because they had made the deal, the obligation had been fulfilled. So even though they still hadn't slept together yet, he said, give me my wife. Jacob did to Laban, that I may know her. So if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, if she betrothed, she belongs to somebody else, that's off limit. That's what you call adultery. Even though she hadn't slept with anybody ever, she was a virgin. It still would have been adultery because of the covenant. That shows you the key is the covenant, is the agreement that's been made. And many times in this case, it might have been made between the father and the man, as it's showing here. And that was the way it was. That's why they got some of those same little principles in marriage that come back to the Bible. That's why at weddings nowadays, what do the father do? He's the one that give her away.
Right.
Because they got it from the Bible. That was the order of things. So he had to. So this is good because it kept down all just the fornicating. You think you can just sleep together and go on about your business? No, you sleep together. Now you got responsibility to take. You got to take action now. So if a man entices a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. And that meant paying some money. That shows you this thing cost. And even it costs nowadays, except they really don't try to bring the cost in a lot of cases. They don't try to bring the cost in until kids come into play. And that's one thing the state will do. That's what I'm sure the state of Florida, like any other state, they don't care if you got that piece of paper. You had a baby by this woman, you need to pay. They don't even care if y'all married. You say, John, I never married her. They don't care. They lock people up for child support. They do. So they're not mad at you. They're not going to say, well, y'all, you right, you never got the paper. They're like, we don't care you got no paper or not. We're going to do tests. That's your baby.
Right.
You got responsibility. See, but the Lord had the responsibility even with the woman in the first place. Before a baby was involved. You slept with her, it's like, that's your new baby. That's it. And you got to pay for that. And then the father had the final say. Notice this, because he was in charge as long as she was with him. That's what usually happened a lot of times. I met my wife who was 17, 18 years old. So she was living under her father's roof and all of that. So you come in basically taking his daughter away like that. The father had the final say. That's why I said, if her father utterly refused, which probably 9 out of 10 wouldn't, unless he just thought a dude was just goofy or crazy, then maybe. But after they slept together, it's kind of like, they kind of out the bag. So 9 out of 10, like nowadays, the father just pull out the shotgun and say, you got to get married. Because she's no longer going to be of value as a virgin. So, but the father said the final say, if a father refuse, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgin. So that show you it still was a price to pay. It wasn't no just easy escape. And even though we're not following all this according to, the step of the law, the Lord still look at it like this and look at all the stuff that happens nowadays, even between, young people. So people think they just don't sleep together and go on about their business. All kind of drama still taking place. So you paying one way or another is the point. But now let's look at something else. Let's go Matthew 1 all the way to the New Testament. And we'll look at this example, which somebody mentioned engagement, because that's what it sounds like in a lot of times when you say you say betrothed and stuff like that. Those little old-fashioned words. So, but you can use it like engagement. But the difference is engagement was more of a legal deal in the Bible. Betrothed was really more of married, even though they hadn't necessarily came together, but they had made that covenant. So it was legal. Look at this. Matthew 1 and verse 18. Go ahead.
Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. And as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost.
So the same thing is spouse. That thing, but some people say, well, that means engaged. That's kind of engaged. Actually, it meant married. And it just showed they did things a proper channel, a proper order. According to proper order, they made the deal. So the deal was made with Joseph and Mary and parents or whatever, whoever involved, for them to be married. So they were married. And it said, when as his mother Mary, talking about Jesus' mother, was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, before they laid together, they hadn't laid together now, because that's what had to be with Jesus. She had to be a virgin up until his birth. She was found with child of the Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit. So this is another means of her getting pregnant, in other words. That's all that is. It went the traditional way because she hadn't laid Joseph, verse 19.
Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example.
See, I like to point this out, brothers, because sometimes, we get mad. We can get mad over this and mad over that, and the wife not doing this right and not doing this right. Well, either way, the wife can be wrong, but it's still a way to handle things. This was the epitome of being wrong in Joseph's eyesight, he thought. Because it don't get no worse than this if it was true that she had slept with somebody behind his back, which is what he thought. But even notice how he was handling this, how he was going to handle it. It said, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, first of all, and not willing to make her a public example. Now, this is a just man, because if this happened to the average man nowadays, they ain't worried about no public. We finna raise some hell. Like, what? They ain't thinking like that. Right. But this is the way a just man thinks.
Yes, sir.
He like, look, now I'm not gonna deal with it. Now he wasn't gonna stay with her. He was like, look, this is over. This is a wrap. But I don't make no big deal about it, because that's all it took. They would have put on Front Street, and and they probably they got mad enough they stoned people. But he said, not willing to make her a public example, was minded. It was on his mind to put her away privately, to divorce her, because he's like, she pregnant and it's not mine. We ain't got to go to Maury Roberts to know it's not mine, because they hadn't slept together. They hadn't slept together. But something happened. Verse 20.
While he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost.
So now the Spirit told him, don't fear to take Mary thy wife. No, it said his wife. Well, she had to be his wife because he couldn't have put her away, which is what he was minded to do, unless they was already married. Right. They was already married. They had made the deal. They just hadn't, as we say, sealed the deal, but they had made the deal. So that was his wife. That's why he was going to have to divorce her. He was going to divorce her privately, but he was going to divorce her. He was going to get rid of her because he thought she had slipped out the back door. But the Lord told him, nope. So again, marriage is a choice that you make. That's between the two people, and it's the agreement that's made. Now, what necessitates you making that agreement or that covenant is, of course, the old-fashioned way, and that is sleeping together. Sometimes when you do that before you decided. So the Lord didn't care if you knew the woman. He didn't even care. That's the way the Lord, because it just said if a man entice a maid and lay with her, now he need to marry. He didn't care if you knew her, didn't know her name, met at a club, it didn't matter. The Lord said you need to do the right thing after the fact. So that's why I say that necessitates you going and get married. And then again, going to get married don't have to be, it's not necessarily what we would say the courthouse, but that's good to do because that gives you all the benefits and rights that way. So some people say they're not in position, they don't have the money, they don't have this, but that's not of necessity, but it's good. Because that'll give you the rights to everything. So I bury people. I bury people who they was with a woman 10 years, 15 years, living together, same house, but they wasn't married legal. And the brother died. It happened once in Philadelphia. The brother died, and his mother and brother came and took his body, did what they wanted to, actually gave him the type of funeral he would not have wanted. Because he was with his wife for 10 years. They both came to Bible class. His mother and brothers, they didn't come to Bible class. They didn't care nothing about what we believed and they should have honored his wishes. So, but they didn't honor his wishes. In other words, since he wasn't married legally, his wife, who he lived with, didn't have no say-so in how he was buried or anything like that, because they didn't have the legal papers.
So, I mean, okay, because I probably worded it wrong, but when it comes to getting married, is it best to go through the courthouse or best to just so that way a person don't have to worry about dealing with chastisement from the Lord or whatever you want to call it when it comes down to him judging you, per se, in person?
Yeah, like I said, it's no rule on that with the Lord. The key is courthouse or not, we need to know the importance and significance of marriage, that it's a covenant, and it's a covenant you can't get away from. So whether the courthouse is involved or not. And the courthouse don't make or break a marriage, because I know plenty of people who have been to the courthouse, been married legally, and that don't mean nothing, they get divorced.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. That don't make or break a marriage. But if it say that some people might not look at it as real marriage, which it should, because that's the agreement, and God see everything, regardless of what the state think or say. God see everything. But say some people, they don't say, well, it ain't like we really married. Then maybe if that's what it takes to make you understand the officialness of it, then that's okay. But that's between the two, and it's no rules from the Lord on that. But the rules that is when you come together and make that commitment, that's it. It's final, and there's no getting out of it, regardless of that. Because some people use that excuse. Like we said, if a man entices a maid to lay with her, he should surely make her his wife. And then some people do that. Some people look, they lay together, and we tell them that. Like I said, I was with my wife when I started listening to the word. I was 18 or so. So when I went to the first Bible class we went to, I was around 20, 22. I got that understanding, and that's, and it was good for me because I wasn't planning on doing anything else anyway. I figured me and her was going to be together, but we weren't married legally. But when I first went there at 22 years old, brothers, we said, oh, that's your wife, huh? Yeah, I got it. But we hadn't been married legally yet. Right. We hadn't been married legally yet. So, but that understanding that's the type of commitment it is with the Lord is good. So, and why is it good? Because it lets you know that right then, from that point on, whatever ideas you had, whatever other plans you might have had, hey, you can let that go out the window because it's responsibility that come with that. So that's what really needs to be understood once you came together. So I've seen brothers, that did what we read in Exodus 22. They laid with a woman, and then they didn't want to go through. They said, well, I wasn't planning on marrying. I said, the Lord asked you what your plans was. He didn't say. He didn't care what your 5-year plan was. That's over with. That's the problem. That's the problem. So that should give, and with that in mind, that should give everybody pause to move a little slower. So it is not, whether you get the marriage certificate or not, like I said, that's good, but it's not a requirement with the Lord. The requirement is to commit and stand together and living husband and wife. So that was that. Let me see what it's on now. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7. We read a little bit of this earlier. First Corinthians 7. And he lets you know again, once you got into this covenant, there's no easy way out. Seven and 1. 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Now concerning the thing whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
He says it's good for a man not to touch a woman. And he's looking at things, a lot of things here in relationship to serving God and spreading the gospel. That's really what it's, they're focusing on God. So, and that has its place. But overall, the Lord said, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. So that can't be bad either. So what he's talking, he's dealing with one standpoint, and that is focusing on the Lord. And I'll show you that. Matter of fact, skip down, and we're going to come back up. I just want to skip down and read this. Skip down to verse, show you what he's getting at. Verse, we read some of this earlier, but not this. Read verse, verse 29. Verse 29. Read that.
But this I say, brother, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none.
So what does he mean? This is why he says good that a man touch not a woman. He said, but this I say, brother. So now even though you done got married, but this I say, brother, the time is short. We getting, the world is getting even shorter than it was when he made this statement. The time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. So it's so much stuff to be done for the Lord, so much work to be carried on in the name of the Lord, getting the gospel out, even if you married. That's why he says good if you're not married. But even if you married, you have to be as though you're not married in some instances when you're dealing with the gospel. Just like, we here preaching the gospel. My wife here today, but I've been here a few times. She had never been here. I have to go places and do things by myself without her for the sake of the gospel. So this is what he means. The time is short. What? We getting close. The end is coming and people need to hear the word. It remains that both they that have wives be as though they had none. And then he also went into what we read earlier, why it's the benefits of not being married. Let me just read that before we back up to the beginning. The benefits of not being married. Verse 32.
But I will have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord.
See, so that's benefits. There's pros and cons with everything. So this is the benefits of not being married. This is why he even said in the first place, he himself wasn't married. He didn't have the restraints of having a wife. He could just attend unto the things of God. Same thing for a woman too. A woman can focus on the Lord. So what he said, verse 32, I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. 33.
But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife.
Okay, because you got that responsibility. So you have to split your loyalties. Even if you're trying to please the Lord and spread his word. You got to split your loyalties because you got responsibility. And that's the way it's always been. The Lord even say, you know, in Israel when they would go out to war, he would say, any man got a new wife at home, he need to just go back home. It ain't time for you to go to war right now. Go ahead, 34.
There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin.
Go ahead.
The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord.
See, even a woman, an unmarried woman, she can just care about the Lord. She ain't got some women be saying that too. Well, the Lord, my husband was good for you. That's all you got to worry about. You ain't got to worry about, you know, pleasing a husband. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may what?
That she may be holy, both in body and in spirit.
But she may be holy both in body and spirit. Just like, you know, they had Nazarites in the Bible. Each actually vowed a Nazarite in Numbers 6. It could be taken by a man or a woman. A woman could dedicate herself to the Lord. You know, you had this woman Anna in the New Testament. They say she didn't leave from the temple, fasting and praying all the time. So it went both ways. So this is why he says it's good not to be married. This is the benefits of it. But everybody, that's not for everybody, of course. Both how she may please the Lord, be holy, both in body and spirit, but she what?
That is married, care for the things of the world, how she may please her husband.
Okay, so that's where you got that. Now let's back up. Start at 1 again. 1 Corinthians 7:1. Go ahead.
Now concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
But now we know why. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
So he still backed it up, letting you know, look, if you need to get married, that's what you need to do. Because everybody can't handle that dedication just to the Lord and focus on the Lord without having a spouse. Go ahead.
Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence.
Do benevolence.
And likewise also the wife unto the
So
husband.
everybody got responsibility to each other. The husband and the wife have responsibility to take care of each other. Go ahead.
The wife have not power of her own body, but the husband.
Right.
And likewise also the husband have not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be for consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not your inconsistency.
So everybody got to look out for each other, even down to the bedroom and all of that. And that should only be avoided when you're seeking the Lord to, you know, with prayer and fasting. But now, so that's just a little bit on marriage. There's no clear guidelines where you got to do it this way with the state or all of that. The covenant is between the man and the woman, but the key is once that covenant is made, then you need to keep it forever. So go ahead, keep reading. I'm sorry.
What was that, 6 now?
Yeah.
But I speak this by permission, and not of commandment.
See, this wasn't a commandment because he didn't say everybody just stay unmarried. Go ahead.
For I would that all men were even as I myself.
Because he wasn't married, so you know, yeah, but there wouldn't be no babies born, so that couldn't be all the way like that. But it has its benefits when it comes to focusing on the Lord. Go ahead.
But every man have his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that.
So he knew it wasn't for everybody. Go ahead.
I say therefore to the unmarried and widow.
So now if you're already unmarried and widowed, like we had in the lesson, you need to be content with that for now. Be content where you are. And this is what he said. I said to the unmarried and widows, what is it?
It is good for them if they abide even as I.
See, it'll be good. So, and that's what if you're in that state, you might as well look at it from that standpoint, because that's where you are now. Hey, get used to that. If the Lord got a wife or a husband for you, he'll send them your way. Go ahead.
But if they cannot contain, let them marry.
But they still didn't have to. Go ahead.
For it is better to marry than to burn.
This is from the Lord, verse 10.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord.
This is from the Lord then. Go ahead.
Let not the wife depart from her husband.
So why does he got to say, let not the wife depart from her husband? Because marriage is hard. Marriage is rough. People go back and forth. There be arguments and battles. So, just like when people get married in the world, they go to the church or a minister, whoever, they always say, well, you don't take this upon yourself lightly because of the commitment. And it really is. That really is true. And he's letting you know that here, that once you have made that commitment, you need to stick to it regardless. Things don't go like you want it to go. It's always been. And a lot of times, I talk to married people all the time. A lot of the arguments and issues that they have, it don't be nothing anyway. It can just be, after later on, they be arguing about the argument. You know, they be arguing about, no, you said that. Well, what was your argument in the first place? I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the first place. But all I know is she said this and then she said this. So it'd be an argument about the argument.
Right.
It don't even be the original thing. But they understand that. People that serve the Lord understood that. So this is why he said, unto the married, I command you, not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. See, there was never any legal grounds according to the Lord for the wife to get a divorce from her husband anyway. There was never any legal grounds. It was a one-way street. It was skewed one way when Moses even gave the right of divorcement, which Moses made up on his own. The Lord allowed because things was kind of out of whack. So he gave the right of divorce. But it was to benefit the wife if the husband, say, didn't want to be with us, that's acting crazy. It was going to be beneficial to the wife because it was saying, look, if you don't want to be with this woman and you just going to act crazy, look, just give her this writ of divorce, give it in her hand. So now she can take that and legally marry somebody else. She would have that. So, but it was skewed. It was for the man because men, the Lord gave them the lead and they were the ones in control. So that was the divorce law that was given, which, like Jesus said, that shouldn't be the mindset. And it wasn't that Moses did something wrong, because if Moses would have did something wrong, we would have heard about it. The Lord definitely allowed it. And Jesus told you why he allowed it. He said, because the hardness of your hearts. Yeah. It wasn't Moses just made up the wrong thing. Well, I don't know why Moses did it. Shouldn't have been. No, it shouldn't have been. But the Lord has really said, I allowed it because y'all was already tripping. It's like the horse already out the barn.
You're right.
The horse gone. He's going, go shut the door. Shut the door. The horse is out the barn. We probably need to leave the door, the horse back in now. So that was the issue. They was already far gone, not operating according to marriage. And the Lord said, look, just let them cook. And the Lord allowed it because after he allowed the writ of divorce, he had to make up another law to make sure that law didn't go too far. And that other law he made up is once you done gave the writ of divorce, now the woman that went and got married to somebody else, then he gave her a writ of divorce, she couldn't come back to the first husband. Exactly. So the Lord had to, so that lets you know all this ultimately from the Lord. And he had Moses do it because the people was far gone. So, but still, that never stopped a woman from just getting mad and saying, I'm gone, forget this crazy, I'm not going to stay. That never stopped a woman from doing that. So this is why Paul addresses the woman in this fashion, he said, let not the wife depart from her husband. Nothing never stopped that. I mean, if she left, she left. Right. So, but he's telling her not to do it. But this lets you know, brother and sister, circumstance will get to a point where you might feel like doing it if he got to tell you don't do it. Let not the wife depart from her husband. Now we have 1 Corinthians in verse 11, 7 and 11. Go ahead.
But if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
So he said, but, and if she depart. Now she just said, nah, because I talked to her next, I said, look, you shouldn't really leave. Nah, brother, you don't know. He don't do this. He don't work. He don't do this. And most of the time I say, well, how was he when you met him? Yeah, but I thought he was going to change. He didn't change. So anyway, so he made enough for that. You just insist. I can't take no more. I just can't take it. So, okay, you get to the point where you cannot take it anymore. He said, okay, if you want to leave, and I tell sister this sometime, you just been on leaving. If you leave, you got to stay by yourself. Well, I got to stay by myself? Yeah, that's how serious marriage is.
Right.
You can't be looking at it like you just gonna change clothes and go get another one. You can't look at it like that. That's the wrong way to look at it. And that's the way we operate in the world. You just move on to, like one sister told you, yeah, that's where I was in the world. I was like, next.
Wow.
Yeah, but that ain't it with God. There's no next with God. You can't be looking at it that way. And see, and once you understand that, that'll make you be a little more diligent to your present commitment. Because it shouldn't be no more. That's what he said, right? We ain't making it up. He said, let not the wife depart from her husband, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled. Go back to your husband.
Yep.
Be reconciled to her. And on the other hand, let what the end of 11 say?
And not the husband put away his wife.
See, he used the official term, put away. Let not the husband put away his wife. Because, they have official legality, and they use that in a minute. But that shouldn't be the mindset. That shouldn't have been the mindset going back to what Jesus told you. That was only given for the heart to your heart. So the husband shouldn't think, well, I can just put her away. I can just give her that rid. Nope, that's the wrong mindset. But all this lets you know we will be in relationships feeling like this and wanting to do it. And he tell you how to handle it. Don't do it. We got to have, as like word I told the kids in school, we got to have some stick to it when we come to this. Okay, verse 12.
But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Okay, even in a bad situation, why don't believe? You believe. Still stick it out. That's how important marriage is, which is technically unequally yoked. Shouldn't have been, but it is. So let's see if that can work too. Go ahead.
And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not.
Same way from the husband. You can't say, man, my wife don't believe, or my husband don't believe. Ain't no way I can stay with that. No, that can work too. And they might come around. You don't know. The Lord is merciful. He gave us time, so he wants us to give them time. And woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he what?
And if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
See, so she shouldn't leave him. So that's a little bit on marriage, what necessitates the covenant. But that's what it is. Marriage is the covenant. Another question you have.
Yeah, Ezekiel 39, verses 1 through 3.
Come with a direct scripture. Ezekiel 39.
I'm there.
Yeah. Okay. Ezekiel 39. We're going to pick up at verse 1. Ezekiel 39, verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against God, and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel.
Go ahead.
And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thy arrows to fall out of thy right hand.
Okay, so the question on this one is,
Now, does this correlate with the same time frame of Revelation 20, verses 8 and 9?
well, let's read that. I don't think so, but let's read it just to look at first. Yeah, Revelation 20. Revelation 20, but he is talking about the same people. He's talking about the same people because we're dealing with Gog and Magog, and he's going to hit them here.
What verse did you say?
8, 9. Revelation 20,
8 and 9.
8, 9. Yep, go ahead, read.
And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sea, sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and encompassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them.
Okay, so we deal with the same people for sure, Gog and Magog, which is dealing with the people from the east, Russia and her allies. And it said that they should go out and see where Satan should, it's talking about Satan, after the 1,000 years, we didn't read all that, and that will let you know
Right.
the little time frame. It's after the 1,000 years. Verse 7 said, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. So it's been 1,000 years of peace before this take place. Whole 1,000 years of number of peace, which is mean this is after Jesus came back and took over the world and whooped all of them at Armageddon. See, he already have done that. So then he said, Satan gonna go out and see the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle. The number who was at sand and sea, and they went up on the breath of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about the blood, and fire came down from heaven and devoured them. So this is kind of the last little fight or battle before Judgment Day. So this is a long way off.
Okay.
This is that, and the way it ends, it ain't really nothing going on. It's just fire. The Lord said, the Father in heaven sent fire down and burned them up. But back to the one in Ezekiel,
Yeah.
that's something that's going to take place before that.
He's sending fire down too, though.
Toward the end of that year.
Yeah, in verse 7 actually.
Okay, we're going to go back and look at it. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're going to go back and look at it. Now, back to Ezekiel 39. Yeah, the only difference, he say a lot of things that, yeah, and he say too, he mentioned like a sixth part and all of that.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel 39, let's pick it up again. Let's pick it up where we left off at verse 3. Yeah, pick it up at 4. Go ahead.
Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort,
Mm-hmm.
and to the beasts of the field to be devoured.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God.
Mm-hmm.
And I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel,
Mhm.
and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore.
See, and this is what the deal is. See, this is what lets you know. See, at this time, this is kind of the time of the end.
Yes.
The Lord is bringing Israel back.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's fixing everything.
Sure.
He's getting ready for the 1,000
Okay,
years.
I got you.
And that's the difference. At the end, it's
got you.
all over with. It's all over. So this is beyond. This is around the time of Jesus Armageddon. And Jesus
Armageddon,
comes back. And
exactly what it means.
yeah, this is that time because and that's why he said I'm gonna leave a sixth part of it because they're gonna be strong into the future.
Sure.
They're gonna still make it.
And he's got the birds and coming to eat them.
Same thing.
Right.
Like Revelation 19. That's 19. That's
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference. It's before the 1,000 years and after the 1,000 years. But that lets you know Russia gonna be here for a long while. They ain't going nowhere. That's why actually we had brothers. I saw a brother on TV. We've been preaching this for years. I saw a brother on TV years ago when the Soviet Union was falling apart. He said, people talking about Russia gonna do something. They can't even feed themselves. They can't do nothing. And we just sitting there like, you don't know. This is not going nowhere because we know the Bible. They're not getting ready to go nowhere. Oh, they couldn't even beat Afghanistan. Because, Russia fought in Afghanistan and America was helping Afghanistan back then. That's when America got close with bin Laden.
Right.
It was helping Afghanistan trying to, balance out. And Russia had a hard time in that. See, they can't do nothing. Well, one of the news commentators said, yeah, Russia having a hard time. Soviet Union, all them little countries broke up. But one of the news commentators said, yeah, but they still got all them weapons. Hey, and that makes the difference.
Yeah.
So, but they're going to be here. The Lord keeping them strong. So that's why in the 39th chapter Ezekiel, he talked about saving a sixth part and, breaking them down, but they be around for that fight after the 1,000 years. And that's just show you how messed up man can be when Satan deceives him, because Jesus then came back, everybody knew it, everybody saw it.
Right.
You got modern technology,
Sure.
took over the world, humbled everybody,
Yeah.
wasn't but a few people left.
Right.
1,000 years go by, he built it back up, nothing but righteousness and peace. Everybody know the Lord, and they're going to let Satan trick him again.
Ooh.
They're going to let him trick him again.
Now, second part.
Go ahead.
Question. And I always I said, well, how can, after the 1,000 years of peace,
Yeah.
how can Satan still possibly deceive the people?
Right. That's an excellent question.
How is that possible?
The way it's possible is that you look at now. Well, 1,000 years, first of all, is a long time.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So, But you look at now, people look at stuff now. They don't believe, that's why they don't believe a lot of stuff in this Bible. It's so far ago, it's almost like a fairy tale. Yeah, we heard about it. Pharaoh, the Red Sea. We ain't found nothing in the Red Sea. We don't know. Then sometimes they find something. We found something. It could have been. But it's so long ago. People they write off the flood.
Right.
They just write it all. Yeah, you know, like that's just mythical now. So that's the same thing they gonna do after that 1,000 years. It's gonna be so long.
Wow.
Satan gonna put it into their mind. Yeah, well, you know, even if they said, what about that guy Cain? Oh, that was an asteroid. It wasn't really no guy. It could have been an asteroid.
That's why it
And
says
see,
they
also,
not
you have to understand that when Satan, when the 1,000 years of peace exists, Satan won't be deceiving the nations.
Right.
So when he's out, that's like somebody they've never encountered.
Right.
Because a lot of men have been born during the 1,000
Right.
years, including us.
Yeah.
Right? That sixth part is going to grow, just like, you know, the people of Israel are going to become a multitude in the 1,000 years of peace.
Right.
So he's fresh out. So it's like, hey, he's fresh on a whole new creation of people.
That's right.
Wow,
That's
yeah,
right.
that do make sense.
Yeah. And he gonna get them.
He going to get them.
But you can see, you know, of course we're dealing with a spirit being
Right,
Yes.
right,
that you
right.
can't see, and he started influencing thoughts. But you can see from a practical standpoint how they just can write it off because it's so long ago.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the Lord is not the Lord he don't just be showboating because it's gonna say somewhere that, you know, they gonna look at people and how they dwelling carelessly.
Safe.
They don't have no army.
Hey, man, they ain't got no.
They ain't got nothing over there.
Take them.
So by the Lord, immortals are ruling, but they don't see the
They don't
immortals.
see it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see that army of, you know, all those people came in the first resurrection.
Yes, sir.
They not gonna see that, and being that you ain't got no wall, you got no army.
Yeah.
That's gonna really influence. Like, man, you know, they build up a little something. They might find some old weapons or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, we could use this and go
Yeah,
get it.
exactly.
Why we listening to this?
Wow.
You know, so that's gonna be nice. Let's read a little bit more. He tell you a little bit that's in here.
Yeah.
What verse you like? We Ezekiel 39 and what?
7.
Go ahead, read it.
So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel?
See, he gonna be getting to know Israel here, but go ahead.
And I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore.
Uh-huh.
And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, the Holy One in Israel.
Go ahead.
Behold, it is come, and is done, saith the Lord God. This is the day whereof I have spoken.
Mm-hmm.
And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn weapons,
Mhm.
both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves, and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years.
Okay, so that lets you know this is before, because that final thing in Revelation.
Right, that's
it-
final.
yeah. It's just a wrap. It's just a
and he's going to gather Israel, because he tell you right after that, he's bringing Israel from every place they are.
That's right. That's right. So this is before the 1,000 years, but that one in Revelation is after the 1,000 years. That's kind of like a one-hit quick,
Gotcha.
bam,
Yeah.
over with. Thank you, ma'am. Now we getting ready. He don't go through much. He don't really show you nothing else on that for Judgment Day. Maybe it's a few minutes. I don't know, but it ain't really no.
Yeah, a little season.
You can see they can. Yeah, I mean, even after that fire come down.
Yeah.
It really goes straight to Judgment Day.
Sure does.
Whereas this, you got a lot of stuff happening because this is the
Yeah.
beginning of
I got
him
you.
fixing
I
things.
got you now.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
so that's the difference on that.
So now-
Yes.
When you say about the 1,000 years of rest, you know what? I know you're gonna be spiritual beings and physical beings, but you can't actually see the spiritual beings at this time, right?
Wrong. No, you can see them. I mean, you can see spirit beings now if they allow it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you definitely can see them. It's what they allow. Now,
Exactly.
would it be an everyday occurrence?
Right.
It'd be. I tell you, it'd be more hands-on than it is now.
Wow.
That's why the people gonna be strict.
Sure.
Because the Lord's still gonna work it through man.
Right.
But man gonna have that direct connect
Yeah.
to God through them beings in the first resurrection. Go ahead.
The government, the kingdoms that right now are being governed by physical beings.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The government in the future will be governed by immortal beings and supervised by physical beings, supervised by immortal government officials.
Mm-hmm.
That's how come he said make your call and election. So you're being elected into a government,
Right.
a kingdom of God. The
Yeah.
kingdoms of this world are going to become the kingdoms of our Lord and Christ. You rule over this many cities. You rule over this many cities.
Right.
So when you say immortal, you will actually like see like seeing each other.
Yeah, and you can do that, and you know you know you can do it there. Flip over to Hebrews, and I don't know, we ain't close to reading this. Hebrews, the 13th chapter. Hebrews, the 12, I think it's 12.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Hebrews 12.
Yes, sir.
So you know if it's this way now, it's just going to be that much more in the future. No, that ain't it. It's 13. It's 13. Yeah, I skipped over it earlier. Hebrews 13 and verse 1. Hebrews 13 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Let brotherly love continue.
Uh-huh.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
Okay, that's right now in our time.
Right.
And we far from God. You know, He's not on the scene like he is now. And plenty of people in the past, and it's still possible, they have dealt with spirit beings, in this case angels. But we know the difference in the future. Well, just to show the difference, since we're already in Hebrews, back up to Hebrews, the 2nd chapter. Show you the difference. So we can entertain immortals now in the form of angels. People have. And he said, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, because some have entertained angels unaware. Like, for instance, Samson's mother, you know, he didn't know whether they was dealing with an angel or what. They, you know, because he come looking like a man. Sure. He come looking like a man, and they like, this dude's strange. Well, he telling me stuff I never heard before. But, you know, I don't know what he is.
Right.
But he looked like a man.
Yeah.
And they said man of God sometime.
Right.
But ultimately, when he jumped on that fire and rolled up out to the sky, that's God. You know, it was angel.
Yeah.
So that's happening now. That's happening in this kingdom, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let alone when it's going to be, be here on first-hand basis,
Yes, sir.
it's going to be that much more for us. That's why everybody going to know the Lord.
Yes, sir.
People really have that contact, so to speak. But notice who's going to govern it here in Hebrews 2, verse 5. Hebrews 2, verse 5. Go ahead.
For unto the angels have he not put in subjection the world to come whereof we speak.
See, the angel's not going to be ruling the world to come overseeing. And that's the point Stevie made. Even right now, physical beings overseeing it, but it's still ran by spirit beings behind the scene. The only reason it's so messed up because it's spiritual wickedness that's running it. So it's still controlled behind the scene, regardless. It's still controlled behind the scene. So it's just going to be reversed. It's going to be righteousness. That's what's it's going to be controlled by the good spirit beings. And in this case, it won't even be good angels. It's going to be good people that came up in the first resurrection.
That's just being made perfect.
Gotcha.
And even the angels now, not the wicked ones, they serving you now.
Yeah.
They're going to be serving you then.
Mm-hmm.
The job of servants don't change. In fact, if you got to access God, they'll serve you right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what he said. Unto the angels hath he not put in subjection the world to come. This is the future world we talking about. During that 1,000 years. Where we speak. But who's going to be running it? Verse 6.
For one in a certain place testified, saying, what is man, that thou art mindful of him? Or the son of man, that thou visitest him?
So in other words, man is going to be running. But man made God.
Yes, sir.
But man is going to be running it. Go ahead.
Thou madest him a little lower than the angels. Thou crownest him with glory and honor, and didst set him over the work of thy hands.
So man is going to be running it.
Yeah.
And that's why I said you're going to be preached to God and to Christ and going to reign with him 1,000 years. So it's going to be something to do. Some people say, well, what are we going to be doing? It's going to be nothing to do. It's going to be plenty to do. It's going to be work to do because you overseeing this world. That's right. But go ahead.
Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him.
Not yet, but it's a matter of time. But we got the prime example, which is who? 9.
Yeah, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels, but suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he by the grace of God should taste death for every man.
Okay, so Jesus already got the reward, and that's why we got to reign with him. We're going to be heirs with him. We're going to be joined We're going to be ruling with him for that 1,000 years, preach to God and the Christ, yes, sir.
But you know, it notice in the passage that he said, first he said in verse 7, with the man, he says, thou madest him a little lower than the angels, right? But not for the suffering of death.
Mm-hmm.
He made Jesus lower than the angels for the suffering. He made you lower than the angels to crown you with glory and honor.
Right, that was the plan.
Ain't that
It wasn't
right?
even the plan.
Not
at first.
for you.
He had to come into that. Man brought the death in him, then Jesus had to come and fix that. Correct.
Right.
Because he made man, he didn't say nothing about dying.
No, he didn't, bro.
He messed up. Yep, that's true.
That's what's up.
What a great plan.
Mm-hmm. And the Lord, he merciful, he showed you a little bit of that plan because he let one slip through the crack. It's been debate on Enoch.
Yeah.
What happened with Enoch? But I can't see him being dead, that's for
I know
sure.
that, right. Where is he now?
Probably a tree or something.
Nobody knows.
Could be here right now.
Yeah.
But I thought, didn't they wipe them out? No, they're going to wipe out Esau.
No, we're talking about
Enoch.
Enoch.
Yeah,
It is Enoch.
you don't see that.
You talking about
Yeah,
Enoch?
that was before nations and everything. That was a long time ago. But that maybe, we'll leave that to Deuteronomy 29:29. Secret
Hey
thing.
man,
We got a
belong
question
to
on the line.
They belong to God, right?
Who is that? The secret thing? Yeah,
So
yeah.
why are we trying to?
Right.
Hey, my name is like, what you got to yourself?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, to me, it's just an example, though. Like I said, man wasn't supposed to die. He wasn't supposed to die. It wasn't the original plan. That wasn't the plan. So, but now let's look at one more thing on this note, because the question was about will you see the immortals, and it's going to be, it's going to be definitely more of a first-hand basis. Where's the scripture at where he said you're going to hear a voice and all
Yeah,
of
you
that?
here, walk therein.
It's
Right.
Isaiah?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You go this way. You going the wrong way.
Right,
bro.
right.
Walk therein.
This is the way. This is the way. Isaiah 30.
Okay.
Yeah, Isaiah 30.
It was in Isaiah somewhere.
Yep, you was right, Isaiah 30.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When you're on.
Let's get to it. Verse 19. Well, verse 18. So much is all good. Yeah, verse 18. Isaiah 30 and 18. Go ahead.
And therefore will the Lord wait that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him.
And that's the key, waiting on the Lord. But go ahead. That's what we in the process of doing now. Waiting on the Lord. It ain't always easy, but that's the challenge. Waiting on the Lord to do this. Go ahead.
For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more.
So we know this future.
Yeah.
Thou shalt weep no more. Go ahead.
He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry.
Uh-huh.
He shall hear it. He will answer
He
thee.
said he gonna hear it even in another place in Isaiah. He said, before you call, I will answer you. He said, you gonna get ready to go. He gonna get the answer you already. That's on tap right there. That's on speed dial, for sure. Before you can even dial. Go ahead.
And thou, the Lord, give you the
And
bread.
though
of
the
that-
Lord,
And though the Lord give you the bread of
Adversity,
and the water of affliction,
uh-huh.
yet shall not the teachers be removed into a corner anymore. But thine eyes shall see thy teachers.
He said, but your eyes shall see your teachers. So it ain't going to be like right now, it's few and far in between, even when it comes to physical teachers of God and the spiritual behind the scenes, help that we get. Hey, that's few and far in between. But now it's going to be first-hand basis. He said they're not going to be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teacher, 21.
And thine ears shall hear a word behind
And
thee,
your ears shall hear a word behind thee saying what?
saying, this is the way, walk ye in it,
Walking this way.
when ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left.
Well, they gotta be something, boy.
I ain't lying.
You think about going the wrong way. And you hear, this is the way.
Wow.
Up there. What you got?
Another page, the Lord said,
He told me don't wait.
when you, if you got a kid that come up, right, and you talking crazy, when you
Oh, yeah.
I got this thing that I've been looking into,
Right.
stars,
That's exactly right.
they
Yeah.
gonna kill him before you get out the crib, right?
Man.
Yeah, mom and daddy gonna kill him.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, he won't even make it outside. Man, we talking crazy.
Wow.
That let you know how good it's gonna be to where anything that look like it's gonna remotely mess it up, they
Wow.
stamping that out,
Right.
even if it's your own kid.
That's how the stoning and stuff was in the old days. That's what it was meant for. That had its purpose.
Yeah.
It's killing people. See, people don't understand God. God is like, we will cut the rotten apple off.
Wow.
It affected
Yeah,
us.
they gonna be murdering their own kids if they talking crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Get that. I want to see that.
Oh, it's there.
I'll mark that down.
I use it to scare my kids.
What you just said.
Oh, it's in Zechariah 13.
Okay, Zachariah. I got to
That's
mark
one with
that
the
down.
wounds in the hand.
Yeah, I use it to scare my kids, man. Keep talking crazy.
That's a good one.
The
There.
Lord is gonna allow you to murder them.
Wow.
And, you know,
Say, I know that's
what happened to Junior? Oh, we killed him. We was looking up the sky, charging out and stuff. Come out and hearing something different. Hey, wait 1 minute.
I'm reading that.
Zechariah 13, yep.
Start with two.
Yeah, let's start to the top because we see what we're doing with. Yeah, 13 and 1.
In that day,
Give me 9 verses. Go ahead.
in that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness.
The Lord healing everything. Go
Everything,
ahead.
brother.
And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered.
No more.
And also I will cause prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land.
Lord clean the house. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy,
Eddie.
then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live.
You know that's rough. You know the women really had to have the spirit of God. Because the father might do it now, but the woman be. I know my wife. She see me trying to deal with the son. She don't do it. Everybody gonna be ready. Like we can't let this go. It's a bigger picture,
Man.
So it said that's the way it's been before. Because in the old days it said if the people have
This
rebellious
my son
sons.
is a stubborn
Stubborn
rebellious son.
rebellious.
We're around the law of the Lord.
Yeah.
And we
They
brought
stone
him,
him.
we done chastised him, beat down.
Yeah, drunken and a
What
gut
can we
butt.
do? What can we do?
Bring them in.
Bring him here.
Wow.
They can just stone right back. Your hand
Stone.
be the first one to stone him.
Yeah. So it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And what finished that verse 3?
And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through.
I'm gonna walk out the door by the face.
I got something I want you to check out, Mom. Unbelievable.
Yeah, keep reading, verse 4.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he have prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman. For men taught me to keep cattle from my youth.
So now if somebody wants, it's just the opposite now. Now everybody is out of line, false prophets everywhere. And there's few righteous people.
Yes, sir, bro.
At that time, everybody gonna be righteous.
That's right. Wow.
It'll be a chance for you to go false and be crazy.
Yeah.
You just insist.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a rarity.
Very
And you're
rare.
gonna be hiding and ducking and trying to keep that a secret.
Like a sore thumb,
In
man.
other words, everybody gonna be back in the
Run you
closet.
out.
They're gonna be back in the closet.
Right, yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they even if they want on some foolishness, they're gonna be like, nah, I'm not on, no, not me.
Yeah. No, right. I wasn't saying that.
Maybe, right.
God misunderstood me. That's how legal it is.
So just say this example he giving you is somebody that's trying to come up with some lies, come up with some crafty stuff, and just say his mother and father tried to get him and he ran.
Yeah.
And he got away and he got hurt, but he got away.
Yeah.
And then they found him somewhere else and he said, what? He will be ashamed. What he said, verse 5?
But he shall say, I am no prophet.
He gonna say, I don't know that. I am no prophet.
That's
But he lying. Go ahead.
I am an husbandman, for a man called me to keep cattle from our youth.
And then they gonna say what to him, verse 6?
And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thy hands?
Wow.
Look like that. How you get them wounds?
Who hurt you?
Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friend.
I was hanging out with my friend and see what happened.
Another line thought about it.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good.
Amen.
So that's it's gonna be good. And last thing on that, let's go to Isaiah. Just Isaiah. It don't get no better than Isaiah 65.
No, it don't, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just tell you how it's gonna be totally. But it's because you got first-hand contact with these immortals who keeping the record straight, keeping everybody straight. This is it. But go ahead, start at verse 17. 65 and 17.
For, behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem, a rejoicing, and her people are joy.
Okay, it's going to be nothing but joy. And this is among mortals.
Yes, sir.
But it's because the immortal world has tapped all the way in, got rid of all this wickedness that's here, and they give first-hand instructions. Go ahead.
And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more deaths in infant of days.
So you ain't going to have babies dying no more. No more deaths in infant, but you got babies. Yeah, no more infant syndrome, SIDS, and all of that stuff. Go ahead.
Nor an old man that have not filled his days.
You're an old man that haven't filled his days. Go ahead.
For a child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed.
So that lets you know the Lord give you a good 100 years, even if you just thinking crazy. That's sort of the mercy of the Lord. You just thinking crazy in an all righteous world. You think crazy, Lord, so give him to the make 100. He said, and if you die at 100, that's gonna be a shame. That's gonna be thrown as a shame. They're gonna be like, that's a shame. Old John died. He was nothing but a child. Because you're going to have people 500, 600, 700 years
Like it
old.
was in the old time, Old Testament.
Huh? It's like in Adam, back going back to the It's going to be just like that. Because sin is what cuts down the life and brings death. So being that he's pretty much eradicating sin, ages you're going to live long again. So you won't even, you 100, you won't even be able to get certain conversations. You'll be like, boy, be quiet while grown folks talk. You 100.
Wow.
You looked at as a child. Boy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because you dealing with 200, 300, 400 years. Like that. Yeah, that's something. So this is what he said. He said, there shall be no more this infant of days, nor old man that will not fill his day. For the child shall die 100 years old. Wow. But the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. So that means you can still sin if you just insist upon it, but you can be out the norm, and the Lord will still give you some chance to get it together. But what else they doing? 21.
And they shall build houses and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards.
And that you still physical going on. Yeah. All this physical stuff. Go ahead.
And they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat.
That you know, it's all start with Israel, because that's what Israel been doing, building for somebody else, planting and picking for somebody else. But now, Israel gonna have their own back again. Go ahead.
For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands.
Go ahead.
They shall not labor in vain.
Not more. Go ahead.
Nor bring forth for trouble.
Nor produce for trouble. Bring forth children, cattle, and all that for trouble. Not no more. Go ahead. Why?
For they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them.
And how close is the spiritual world to this physical world? Let's see. 24.
And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer.
Before they call, I will answer. You ain't even got to get on the phone. You ain't got to get there. Go ahead.
And while they are yet speaking, I will hear.
While they yet speaking, I'll hear. What else?
The wolf and the lamb shall feed together,
Peace among the animals and everything. Go ahead.
and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock,
Mhm.
and the dust shall be the serpent's meat.
Mhm.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains.
And somewhere else he said, because the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord.
Yes,
That's right.
That's
That's
what's
gonna
up.
So you ain't got to teach every man his neighbor.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
be. Right.
you know about Jesus.
We ain't gonna need this ministry no more.
You ain't got to do that no more.
Yep. We ain't gonna need to be doing this ministry no more.
But you know what? In that, I even one of the places in Isaiah, he say, "Let paper be showed to the wicked. He gonna be wicked still,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
It said, even in the
The
land of uprightness,
Yeah.
will he not learn righteousness?
Right.
But he won't behold the majesty of the Lord.
Right.
Because he gonna be, they ain't gonna let it tolerate. He gonna be tolerated
Nah,
that
he
long.
gonna be tolerated.
That boy wicked.
Yeah.
That's
Give
for
him
the 1,000 years.
Huh?
That's for the 1,000 years.
That's still through the
Yes,
1,000
sir.
years. That's what we're talking
He ain't
about.
gonna make it long because they say he ain't gonna behold the majesty of the Lord. He gonna kill it like you stomp on a rope. Man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Virgin birth.
Yeah, I want to ask about the wilderness.
Okay.
You're going to have okay, you're going to flee to the wilderness.
Correct.
And then Jesus going to bring people to the wilderness.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the people that get into the first resurrection, they not going to be in the wilderness when he bring these people to the wilderness, right? Because they're going to be already taken up.
Right. The people that come in the first was now. It can't. So people flee into the wilderness before tribulation,
Right.
don't make it there,
Right.
and will be in there 3.5 years during tribulation. Is what tribulation is, and then Jesus coming. So I would have to imagine that there will be plenty people that are in the wilderness during tribulation. I would have to imagine they have enough understanding was doing God's will to the wilderness. Some of them will be the first resurrection.
Right,
First of all, I would have to imagine that. So, but everybody who come up in the first resurrection, whether they was in the wilderness,
Right.
out here in tribulation, wherever, I mean, those are living people. Dead people is the real ones coming first resurrection.
Right.
But I'm sure some people will be changed that are in the wilderness
Sure.
Right.
and meet the Lord. So it'll still be some people in the wilderness.
Right, but these not
But the
people-
ones in first resurrection won't be there no more.
Right, that's-
Because they're going to meet the Lord,
Right.
proceed to do all that we've been talking about, conquer the world,
Yeah.
beat up on the Armageddon, and
Yeah.
take Israel back.
Supervisor clean up.
Right, there's that supervisor cleanup.
A little bit.
And that's what's going on. And that's when everybody gonna turn to their own people,
Yes,
free
sir.
their own land. That's when Israel going home by where the wilderness then. So everybody
Wow,
got to go to the wilderness then.
Right.
But that's after the first
That'll be
resurrection.
all of that he gonna get land back to.
That'll be who?
That'll be a living mortal people
Yes.
that he gonna get a land back to.
Right, it
It's
will
not gonna
be.
be the people that in the first resurrection.
No.
They gonna be
They're gonna be overseeing the whole operation.
right.
Yeah, they're gonna oversee
I
everything.
heard part of Elijah. I didn't have no problem with it. I just heard it, and some people get a misunderstanding.
Right, no, it's mortals. It's what we were just reading about. That's the ones we just reading about, living hundreds of years, a child dying at 100.
Right.
No more sudden infants dying and all that stuff. Those are the ones that went back, and that's when he beautified it and fixed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be amazing.
We almost there.
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah, this thing, it's a wrap.
That's a straight time, that first
Try not to
resurrection.
do nothing stupid to get cut off.
In the meantime.
Yeah.
So which one you gonna be purging from the wilderness? Which we gonna be purging them? What you ready to say? Purge, you gonna be purging something in the wilderness?
Yeah, it's the same time. So let's read that. That's in
It's Isaiah.
Ezekiel 20.
20.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ezekiel 20.
Sister Larry, I have a
We'll read
question,
that.
but she's not in here right now.
But she can't answer. She's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she right there.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in front of you.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I ain't even live.
Oh yeah, it's live. This live too?
We do have some questions online.
Oh, we got questions online? Okay. Well, we're going to read this
Okay, I'll leave it.
Ezekiel 20. Okay. Ezekiel 20. Let's pick it up at 32. 32, yeah, Ezekiel 20, 32. Go ahead.
And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone.
Uh-huh.
As I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out.
So the Lord gonna do it like he did before. It's not gonna be a, an overnight sensation thing. It's gonna be when he gathered Israel, everybody gonna know it. It's gonna be with mighty power poured out. He gonna do them. He gonna do the nations pretty much like he did Pharaoh. So he gonna make an example out of the whole world this time instead of just one nation. Because that's where Israel is at. So God don't change his plan. He was bringing Israel out of slavery in ancient Egypt, where they was only in one country. He had a one-stop shop to do. Now Israel all over the world, so he got to deal with all nations. But he's still going to do it all at one time. Ain't like I go to one nation, one nation, one nation. No, he going to get them all together, whoop them, and be able to just take Israel out. Right. But he going to deal with it. And the thing is, God don't change. He going to give them a chance first. He going to give them a chance to repent. They just not going to repent. That's how merciful God is. God is God. He could just whoop them. He could have just gave Pharaoh a migraine headache and say, Israel, y'all can leave. But he didn't do it. He was like, he wanted to show, look, I want you to. And that's the thing. God followed the protocol that he set up. God said, look, I put you in control. I'm not going to take your control. I'm going to let you tell me they can go. So Israel could not leave Egypt until Pharaoh said go. That's the way God went. But God know how to make him say go. Right. But God wouldn't let him leave until Pharaoh. It's like, I'm going to twist your arm behind your back till you say it. Yeah. And that's what he did. So he doing the same thing. So he said here at verse 34, 33, as I live, said the Lord, surely with the mighty hand with stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries, plural, where ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. Now we at 35.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
And I'm taking you to the wilderness of the people. Go ahead.
And there will I plead with you face to face.
Face to face. Go ahead.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt.
See, the only thing like it is what he did in Egypt. You haven't had nothing comparable to this. That's why they don't have a 10 Commandment movie part 2. They just got the one that refers back to Egypt. See, this will let you know nothing like this has happened because they will be talking about this instead of what happened way back there with Moses. Right. Because that's all they're going to talk about once this happened. This is greater than that, what's ready to happen. But the only thing close in comparison is what happened with Moses in the land of Egypt. So he said, it's like that. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So what?
So will I plead with you, saith the Lord God.
So will I plead with you, meaning us in the future. Go ahead.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod.
Uh-huh.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
He said, I'm going to cause you to pass under the rod. That means you got to have to toe the line now. We don't want to toe the line. You're going to have to. Mm-hmm. And bring you into the bond of the covenant. What covenant is that? That's the new covenant. See, the new covenant basically we said was ratified with Jesus' death because his blood was shed. Mm-hmm. But we still not brought into bond of it. In other words, it haven't been made official until, when do you really get official when you get married? When everybody agrees to I do. That's when it gets official. When everybody say I do, well, that's what got to happen. That's what happened with Israel in the wilderness. God going to speak the words, and you going to say whether you want to be in agreement with those words or not. That happened in the wilderness with Moses. You could go back to Exodus 24. God had the people in the wilderness. God told them what he wanted, what he demand as a husband. And he said, I'm going to take care of you as a husband. This is what I demand you do. These are my commandments. And all the people said, Moses, everything he said, we're going to do it. They said, I do. Yes, sir. Everybody said, I do. That was the first covenant. Well, the second covenant is in the same place, operated, going to be the same way. That's why he said, I will cause you to pass under the rod and bring you into the bond of the covenant. That's the new covenant. Because what people, we got Martin Christianity say, well, the new covenant is with the church. It's with the, it's with the New Testament church. It started wrong. It's with the same people. It's with Israel. God don't change. Yes, sir. In the New Testament, ain't that. Hebrews 8 tell you plainly, that he make a new covenant. Well, he's quoting Jeremiah, that he making a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Same thing. God do not change. He do things the same way. Anybody can be a part of it, but the covenant is made with his people Israel. So that's the covenant. Go ahead. Now we get to 38, which is what the question was. Go ahead.
And I will purge y'all from among you rebels, them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
See, that's when he going to get rid of those that's hard-headed. So everybody, that's how God is. He going to give everybody a chance. All the Israelites going to leave the country where they in, where they believe God, where they call themselves Muslim, apostolic. It don't matter how they thinking, what they feel. If you Israel, you're going to have to go. Right. Even if you go kicking and screaming, I don't want to go, y'all crazy. You're going to have to go. But if you don't change the mentality and want to give your mind to obeying God, you're going to die in the wilderness just like the old heads died in the wilderness when they came out of Egypt. Yeah. When they came out of Egypt, they had too much of that old stuff in them. They kept thinking about going back to Egypt. The Lord said, you ain't going back to Egypt. I tell you what, you ain't going to get out of this wilderness. You all going to die here. So only 20 years and only 19 years and under made it out of the wilderness besides Joshua and Caleb. All the old heads died out in the wilderness. Well, he talking about doing some purging like that. I will purge out from among you the rebels and those that transgress against me. That means they don't want to obey. They're rebelling. But notice he's telling you it's going to happen in the wilderness because he said, I brought them out of the country where he was living in. I brought them out of their land. They left America. They was in France. They leaving France. The Bahamas. They leaving the Bahamas. And they're going to get all the way over there just to die.
Wow.
That's bad news. Because they probably was thinking too much about where they came from. I can see a brother now, man, I was doing good in America. I got me out here in the desert. Waiting on my pension, man. Got me out here eating this stuff. I don't even know what this food is eating out here. Man, if I had me one of them steaks I used to eat. Same type of crazy. So they're going to purge them. So it's the same thing. And everybody else that's worthy going to go into the promised land. That's when 1,000 years will begin and it'll be nothing but goodness after that. We're going to see what we got. What you got online?
Sister Claire had a question.
Sister Claire, okay, we're going to have to get back to Sister Claire now. We're going to see what we got online. We'll get back to it.
And, this is from Water of Life. He says, peace, Israel. Is it lawful? I'm sorry. Is it unlawful to fall asleep while watching the lessons? brother must have heard me snoring. But it said also, if you cannot attend a holy convocation because of distance, is watching online considered a holy convocation?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's go to Acts 20, because we're gonna even answer the first part of the question about sleeping. So it can be unlawful to fall asleep. No. Let's go to Acts 20. Acts 20.
Yeah.
And we're gonna pick it up at verse 5. Acts 20 and verse 5. Read that.
These going before tarried for us at Troas. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread.
Now this dispelled a lie that in the New Testament they had done away with all the holy days and they was just dealing with this new stuff, man-made tradition like we got now. You know, they said the holy days got nailed to the cross. Well, this is Paul observing unleavened bread. He obviously observed it because he's telling you he stayed in this place to keep it. He's telling you that. He purposely stayed in Philippi during the days of unleavened bread. Why are you tracking unleavened bread if it's nailed to the cross? Jesus been dead and resurrected by now. We sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread. So when you just read the Bible, you find out all this stuff we've been believing is just not right. Go ahead.
And came unto them to Troas in 5 days.
And they made it to Troas in 5 days. Go ahead.
Where we abode 7 days.
See, they traveled. They wasn't easy traveling like us. We can get there overnight. Took them 5 days to get short distances. Go ahead.
And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continue his speech until midnight.
So now this verse has been used because they want to change the Sabbath. They want to do away with stuff that God gave you and give you stuff that Satan would want to give you. So they do away with God's Sabbath day, do away with the holy days. So they have come here, I've seen preachers come here and said, see, this show you that the Sabbath changed to the first day of the week. That's why Paul was preaching on this day. No, he wasn't. And how can you come here and read that and miss verse 5 where he was, verse 6 where he observed the days of unleavened bread? How can you miss that verse? So that wasn't nailed to the cross. And this verse 7 don't change the Sabbath day. It's really letting you know because you can preach any day of the week. We can preach any day. We preach any day somebody listen. And we have other set up service times where we do some preaching aside from the Sabbath day. But that don't change the Sabbath day. So Paul was getting ready to leave. He getting some preaching in. And he said upon the first day of the week when the disciples came together to break bread, they came together just to eat. Paul stopped preaching to them, and he continued ready to depart on the morrow. He ready to leave the next day and continue his speech till midnight. So it went on to midnight. So technically, understand the Bible, we in the second day of the week, right? He went on to midnight. He going long. Somebody got sleepy. Let's see what happened. Verse 8.
And there were many lights in the upper chamber where they were gathered together. And there sat in the window a certain young man.
Now see, sometimes them young men get sleepy. They ain't used to. Paul was an old timer. He studied preaching word. And the young guy got sleep. Paul preaching long. He up in the upper chamber. Go ahead.
A certain young man named Eutychus being fallen to a deep sleep, and as Paul was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep and fell down from the third loft.
So you better stay away from them lofts when you get your word. This dude, he up on the third loft, fell asleep and fell down. That show you ain't nothing new. So y'all wake up around here. Please stay away from the windows. Fell down from the third loft and was taken what?
Taken up dead.
And was taken up dead. That had to ruin the party for a minute. But the Lord had mercy. Verse 10.
And Paul went down and fell on him, and embracing him said, "Show not yourselves, for his life is in him."
Okay, so Paul looked like he did something to keep him alive. Go ahead.
When he therefore was come up again, and had broken bread and eaten, and talked a long while.
Steady preaching. Go ahead.
Even till break of day.
Nine is what we call Monday morning.
Yep.
So don't be getting mad when we have a long lesson. Go ahead.
So he departed.
Now he found that whole thing. He preaching, he getting ready to lead, last words, so to speak. So he doing it. So yeah, you do got to be careful falling asleep on that word. But now, the other question, the Lord is everywhere. So, we can't, holy convocation is a gathering of people, but we can only do the best we can do. So, when you don't have a congregation, that's the best, next best thing is the internet. It's not exactly a holy convocation, but that's the best you do. God understands, nothing else you can do. You'd be better doing that than just going with some people who believe some lies or, doing something crazy. So you can't manufacture it. So, even though that's not exactly the holy convocation, watching the internet, it's the next best thing, and thank God for the technology. It just shows you he'll make a way regardless. And so God will still work with you. And if you get you a couple people, once you get people, that's just somebody by themselves watching the internet. Now you get a couple of people, and still you might not have no elder teacher there. But if you get a couple of people, that's considered, a holy gathering, because the Lord said, where two or more are gathered, I'm in the midst. So, but if somebody by themselves, no, it wouldn't really be a holy convocation, because you would be by yourself. But that's all you got. So that's what you would do, and the Lord recognized that. Okay.
This is another question from Susan H. She says, "Happy Sabbath. Can you explain Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 14, and who is of the generation?"
Proverbs chapter 30, 14.
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 30. Let's read 14, then we'll skip around. Go ahead.
There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men.
Okay, so he said there's a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth are knives to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. So, you know, I think it can refer to more than one generation period, because, you know, you got wickedness in all generations, but still it would have to be, if you want to compare the worst generation, it would have to be, you know, of course, the last days that we living in, because that's what he tells you repeatedly how bad it's going to get. So if you had to, you know, pin it down to one, it would have to pretty much be the last. Now, only thing more comparable or on par with that in the last generation is when you in a generation, you know, where, like for instance, Jesus talked about his generation a lot. He talked about his generation because now you got the kings here, you got the Lord here, and you rejected him. So that was obviously a terrible generation. That's a terrible. So he gave them some labels. But let's back up and read this down, because he mentioned a lot more than that. Verse 11. Proverbs 30 and 11. Read it.
There is a generation that curseth their father and doth not bless their mother.
See, in the last days, this go on more wholesale than any other. Everything is just magnified in the last days. It's worse. So if I had to pick one, it'd have to be in our days, because it's out of hand now. Everything, you name it, it's done. And I mean, you can go back, you probably can go back to the flood, because it was only evil then at that time. Go ahead.
There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness.
Same thing. Go ahead.
There is a generation, oh how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up.
Go ahead.
There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men.
Okay, now flip over now to the New Testament, to first, is it 1-2 Timothy? 2 Timothy, yeah. Yeah, 2 Timothy 3, and pick it up at verse 1. Because it's been bad times in the past, but when you get to the end, these are the worst times. This is the worst generation. Even Paul understood that. So even as bad as it was in Jesus' days, they had some semblance of stuff. Even Israel, with Jesus, at least they was in the land, knew who they were, had some idea of some decent. They just wanted to do what they want to do, as always. But they had some basis of common decency, where now that's out the window. And Paul knew as bad as it was in his day, they were trying to kill Paul. He knew it was going to be 10 times worse in the end. 3 and 1. 2 Timothy 3 and 1. Read it.
This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
Perilous times shall come. That means it wasn't that way that Paul is about to announce in his day. He said this in the last days perilous times shall come. They're not here yet like they're going to get in the last days, Paul was saying. But hey, we living now. We living in these days. Now you can't even, you know, they don't even want you to say what's in the Bible. I did a funeral, and it was one of the sisters that's in the Word. He died, and I had an idea kind of stuck up on me, but he was a sodomite. So it was basically, it was in Chicago. It was basically a room full of sodomites at funeral, and it was a mess. But the thing is, I'm just gonna read the Bible, and it's like I'm not even there to address their lifestyle per se. Somebody died, we're gonna deal with death and show you about death. But it's like they incriminated just by the fact that you open in the Bible. You know. They incriminated. And I'm talking just making all kind of noise, you know, trying to, you know, push their lifestyle at a funeral, you know, want to point out, like, you know, like just know that somebody's trying to condemn them. I'm not even thinking about you gay behind. But you won't, but they want to make that an issue. Right. Like they was, you know, I couldn't hear all of them. They was just a bunch of chips. You know what? I'm just opening up the Bible. That's an offense to them. Wow. That's an offense. What, is this wrong? You know, brother told me, I couldn't hear they were in the back. Hug, you know, took me and hugged. Is this wrong, preacher? You gonna tell me this is wrong? Oh, I couldn't hear him, but I heard a lot of talking all the way in the back, all the way just talking. You know, it's like turning on, like I'm turning on a light and the ants scattering, roaches scattering, because I opened the Bible up. Wow. I wasn't even reading about being gay or nothing. I'm gonna read about death, but since you want to put your 2 cents in, I'm gonna read about that too. But that just shows you these are bad times. Wow. Where you can't even, what's known as the good book, it's almost an insult to people that try to open it up and read it now. Wow. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Why is that? Verse 2.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves.
That's what it sounds like. Men lovers of their own selves. Go ahead.
Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy.
Go ahead.
Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded lovers of pleasure, more than lovers of God.
So that's what they doing. The daughter gonna text you. I don't know why she calling me. Okay. So they caught up on their own pleasures. Everything is about me, me, me. Paul said in the last times, perilous times shall come. And all this stuff will be going on. And that's what it's all about. It's all about everybody is concerned about themselves. They don't care about nobody else. You name it, it's messed up. Don't have natural affection. Now he named the stuff. Now what was one of the things? He said there's a generation that don't honor their mother and father and curse, you know. Yeah. Well, he mentioned some of that here, didn't he? He mentioned the same thing. He said, for men shall love their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Paul said the last day. So the worst generation had to be the last day. Even Jesus, when it comes to false prophets, the last days, they just running around. Many false prophets shall arise and see me. And that's why we got more churches than anybody and more unlearned people than anybody. The more churches, the worse it gets. So the false prophets perpetrating a fraud. So we would have to make that our, you know, the last generation at the end here where we live in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think that's it.
That's it.
I believe.
Here she go right here. I got it. Come on, Claire, get your question.
All right, my question was Matthew 23:13, and can Pharisees stop people from getting into the kingdom? Can Pharisees stop people from getting into the kingdom of God?
Can Pharisees?
Yeah.
Can Pharisees stop people from getting into the kingdom of God?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Matthew 23:13, you said?
23:13.
Okay. Well, we was just talking about bad stuff going on in the last days. I mentioned false prophets. So, just we're going to read scripture, but to answer the question, yeah, they can stop people from getting in. Pharisees or any false prophet can stop people from getting in by misteaching them. But it's still your fault, but they had a hand in it if they misguide you. So let's read what he say. 23, you said 13?
23:13.
23:13. Go ahead.
For woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. Ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
Okay, so yeah, that's what he said. So he called them hypocrites, these Pharisees. You shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. It don't mean they got a key to the door, you know, and they just locking the door. It means the tools, well, they kind of can have a key if they know what it takes to get in and refuse to give it to you. So yeah, it means that they won't give you the key, won't give you the information that's needed. And knowledge is the key, and that's the whole thing. That's why when we go to the average church now, they got a nice program, they got nice shows now. So these are, we can call them modern day Pharisees. Yeah. And people go there trying to find God. The average person don't go to church because they want to get tricked or they want to be going the wrong way. Right. The average person go to church because they want to find God, find out to please God and get with God, which ultimately will lead you to get into the kingdom. So yeah, the Pharisees are in a process, and any false preacher, period, who people look into to find out how to get with God, and they lead them the wrong way. Because people put a lot of credence in their pastor, their preacher, and everything. And so they carry a lot of weight. So if you go into the pastor, show me how to get into the kingdom, get with God. And they say, sure thing, you got it. Go right that way. And it's the wrong way. That's how they hinder people from getting in. And they don't care because they got their own agenda. They just want what they want. Matter of fact, before they say go that way, they pay me your tithes, not go that way. They're going to make sure they get that. Because they're getting something out of it. So that's what he's getting into. So he said, woe to you scribes. This is the leaders, period. Not just Pharisees. He mentioned scribes and Pharisees. He called them hypocrites. For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. So you're not getting in. You're not getting in because you sold your soul, basically, so to speak. But worse than that, you're stopping the other people who would try to get in. Now go to Luke 11. Luke 11, same thing really, just from a different standpoint. Luke 11 and verse 52. Same ones that see, he's looking to the ones that know God, to the ones that supposed to know God, be telling people about God. It's their job to show people how to get to the kingdom, and they lead them the wrong way. So that's a real bad stumbling block. But you can overcome it, but you got to get the word yourself. You got to find out. Jesus said, beware these false prophets. Beware that come to you in sheep's clothing, inward ravening wolves. You got to figure that out. So you can still overcome them, but for some people it's going to be rough. And I'm going to show you something else after this in Jeremiah 5, that you can't just blame the religious leaders because we are responsible for our own salvation anyway. So you can't just blame them. They got a hand in it, but you just can't blame them. And 9 out of 10, see, the Lord is fair, brothers and sisters. Even though you got some people, you got all these false prophets out here misleading people. Where do you think we come in at? We come in because the Lord is fair. He giving people a chance regardless. Yeah. So they do have. It's a big alternative. It's a much bigger alternative to finding the truth than it was when I was coming up in Word 30-some years ago. Because I went to straight. When I was 19, I started looking for God. Lord, I went straight to the Baptist church where my grandparents went there, and Pharisee there, same thing, led the wrong way, and it wasn't much of an alternative. Now it's a bigger alternative where the Lord is making a way if you really want it. I mean, you can almost Google truth now and come across it, and come across some stuff now. So that's the Lord being fair. We're just not going to let everybody led away to hell without giving them some warning shots. Right. The Lord is warning. He's giving you a chance. So if you really want it, you can get out of the grip of a Pharisee or a false prophet. But look at this. But this is what they're doing. Luke 11:52. Luke 11:52. Go ahead.
Woe to you lawyers.
Now he called them lawyers here. These are so-called. They're not legal lawyers as we know it. As we know it according to civic law, but religious lawyers, just like some preachers call themselves doctor, reverend, doctor, so on. This is what I'm talking about. So supposedly biblical scholars. Yeah. Woe unto you lawyers, those that know the law of God, because everybody knew that was what it was about. Woe unto you, lawyers. Why? What they doing?
For ye have taken away the key of knowledge.
See, this is how they hindering people from getting in. They shutting up the key. You can't shut nothing up unless you got the key, right? You need the key. See, they got the, see, the 9 out of 10 preachers, they know the truth.
Yeah.
God ain't gonna let them not know the truth. Even if you would start off deceived, you start dealing with people, you start yourself reading the Bible, God gonna show you. It's gonna be up to you what you do with it.
Right.
See, at 9 out of 10 don't want to change, because once they see it, they like, wow, there's a whole big difference. And you know, it's a status quo. We're gonna keep going with the status quo. It's been there for thousands of years. Or I'm gonna be totally different, lose, especially they got to get a big enough congregation, they gonna lose that.
Yo.
You're not gonna keep that. You gotta let that go. Paul, he was a perfect example. Paul was a big shot in regular Pharisee church. He was a big shot. He could not keep what he had and serve the Lord, because it was totally different. See, that's the problem that preachers have. Once they get the preacher, being over a congregation, they can get the truth, but then they have a hard time. How can we weave it in? You can't weave it in. Some of them even try a little bit. They try to weave it in a little bit there. They can't weave it in. They either gonna deal with it all or not. And if they just turn to the truth, somebody else gonna take their congregation. One of the deacons or somebody gonna say, Pastor went crazy.
Yeah.
One of them Israelites didn't got it. I tell you what we gonna do. We gonna go around the corner. He gonna lose his followers. Paul lost everything, but Paul said, I count it all dung that I may win the real Christ, that I may win Christ. I count it all dung on the ground. I lost everything. He had it all, and that's what it'll take. So the Lord will give them knowledge, brothers and sisters. He'll show them, but many of them choose to do this. They will not let it out because they want to keep it the way they want to keep the status quo. So we in Luke 11:52. Woe unto you, lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. That's how they shut up the kingdom of heaven. Go ahead.
Ye enter not in yourselves.
See again, they not getting in, right? Go ahead.
And them that were entering in ye hindered.
See, you hindered, so you didn't just totally stop them, though. Because it takes their part to totally be stopped. And the Lord know how to give you another chance. He know how to send somebody to you after the false prophet lied to you and still show. That's what happened to me. He know how to give you another chance. That's why I say people that ultimately don't get in, they will not be able to totally blame the pastor, because actually they got what they wanted from the pastor. And when they heard something else, they wanted what the pastor had for them.
Right.
That's what, see, the Lord gonna give you a chance. Let's look at this and this be on this, Jeremiah 5. He'll give you a chance. See, but right now we love listening to people, preachers lying, whether it be Israelite preachers, whether it be Sunni preachers, whether it be Muslims. We just love listening to the wrong people because they tell us what we want, though. So you can't just blame them. We like it. You know, they love it. That's happening. Because it fits. Because see, the thing about false gods sell because they don't require nothing. They don't require overall. See, you got to make an overhaul when you come to this.
You ain't lying.
See, the false God, you can come as you are, stay as you are, put up a few money, show up every now and then. You can have it your way with the false God, not with the real God. Jeremiah 5 and 30. Jeremiah 5 and let's get 31. 5 and 31. Go ahead, read.
The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means.
Now the prophets lying. First of all, they prophesying, but they prophesying falsely. They act like they working for the Lord, but they lying. He's telling you. The prophets prophesy falsely. So all the men of God are bogus. The priests, they bear ruling, but not by the Lord's guidelines, by their own means. The priests bear rule by my means. But what about the people? What they think about it? Go ahead.
And my people love it to have it so.
And my people love to have it so. They love their pastor. They love the prophet. They love the priest. You can't tell them about it.
Oh my God.
Well, your pastor lying. Oh, you can't tell them. I'm talking about my pastor. He said, my people love to have it so. And it's easy now because you're not paying the price right now, but the kingdom of God is what's at stake. He He said, my people love to have it so, but eventually you're going to have to pay for that. So what did he say?
And what will ye do in the end thereof?
But what will you do in the end? Because pay always comes. It always comes, and you got to answer that. But he's telling you state of the union is not good. It is not a good state of the union when it comes to church, preachers, pastors. And people think we're hard on them, but we just reading the Bible. We just reading the Bible. And I know, because like I said, I went to a Baptist, they started calling me Reverend in there. They started calling, because I started talking, I started feeling, but it's just something that sit right. I couldn't figure out, I couldn't get past how they kept telling me I was saved. I said, hey, I knew how bad I was. I knew how bad I was. I said, that's kind of quick. Yeah, you saved. And then study, everything, you know, they study. I got women in the church, been in church all their life hitting on me, but we saved.
Wow.
Pastor Noah is like,
What's going
I'm
on?
like, I was doing this just a minute ago. Wait a minute. This is not adding up.
Right.
I tried to go for it. So I'm like, oh, this is all right. This is all right. This what church, oh! I said, this don't make no sense. I don't have to know what this can't be right. You can't just keep doing stuff you was doing in the world and beat the Lord. And that's what's going on. But when you throw out the law, everything goes.
You ain't lying.
You done done away with the law. What you going to govern people by? What you going to tell them why you can't do that? You can do anything. You said the law is done away with. Jesus died for you. That's it. But that's not. Okay. You got any more questions online? See, we need some air here. It's getting hot. See? No, I'm okay. Let's leave it like that. Because it's gonna get cold and fluctuate. You got cover on?
Wait a minute, I need another jet. I might need your coat. You can turn the air down some more. Okay, she's going through it.
This ain't nothing Chicago in here.
Ain't nothing else online? Let me see what you got on 80.
Chicagoans love it.
No,
It's 75 in here. That's kind of warm.
You can turn it down. You turn it
No,
down.
I'm okay. I took this off.
No, it's so good,
You know
man.
you're used to that snow and all
No,
that.
I
wind
think
pushing
it's
through the tall buildings and stuff.
you know what it is? I think the air was just. I don't even sit on this side. I always sit on this side, so I don't.
Yeah, it's probably a
but
little
it's just
cold over there.
blowing straight over here.
Oh, okay.
I'm back. I gotta be cold.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, y'all got something else?
I'm thinking right now.
Who got something here? Anybody got something here? Oh, yeah, you right. Let me see. I'll check Facebook. I'm on Facebook. See where we
No,
got
but
it.
that comment you made about how quick they tell you saved, it brought back a memory of me and my brother and mama when we was in school. We used to walk past the Harvest Baptist because I'm from Orlando.
Okay.
And every time we walk past the same lady will stop us, pray for us, tell us we say, we'll go right around the corner, do the most, come back 15 minutes later, do it again. So you mean to tell me I can keep getting saved, keep messing up, keep coming back and getting
Right.
saved?
Right.
And it just so happened I
That's
was
not
one
as
day.
bad as
I
the
thought I was like, that don't seem right. We can't be.
Right.
You don't think you're supposed to keep getting saved 8-9 times a day? That ain't
I was talking to a Jehovah's Witness earlier sometime in the week, and they said, it was like, oh, we're not under the law. The law is,
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't have to follow that no more. And I was just like, so someone can
You know how many times
kill your wife and still make that 144,000 y'all believe in?
But all
Yeah.
of
but
them,
then-
the same church, they believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Exactly.
Like when I was away, that was the biggest
Exactly.
thing I kept hearing. Whenever we would have
But
Bible
when I
study.
said that
Oh,
though,
well.
they was looking at me like,
They kept
why would
talking
you
about-
even say that? Like,
Yeah.
because the law is not to.
They kept telling me we was in the New Testament. I was like, you can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament.
Exactly.
Like
I got somebody got a question if y'all want.
Somebody got one? Go ahead with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't see nothing on there.
Is there significance in the 3-day fast?
Is
Like,
there
if somebody
some-
wants to fast in 3 days? I guess they want to know if there anything like
Significant about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Fasting period is good, and I guess all things being equal, the more the better. And but now when it gets to 3 days, it's some significance of 3 days in the Bible. Jesus was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's no really, it don't really give you no scriptural significance, but it takes a lot of times. It do take some multiple to kind of break some yokes, so to speak. And so, for instance, that's kind of 3 kind of to me, and this more personal. It's like Jesus, for instance, he's in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights. So one thing, he came up after 3 days and 3 nights. Hey, that's the end. Once you get past that, like with Lazarus, it said Lazarus was dead for 4 days. So it's like, you start. They said, look, Lord, you gonna go open the tomb where Lazarus is? He's stinking by now, because after that, some decomposing starting to set in by then. So there's no concrete scripture on it, but I think 3 is significant. For instance, we're gonna read where I think this is what Esther said do. I think that's what the time frame. Let me see. So I like a 3 days. I think because once you do 1, you might can get 2, but 3 is that extra. That's that extra, kicker. So if you get to that 3, I think you done broke some yokes. You done broke some cycles. First, you gotta get past 1.
Yeah.
First of all, trying to do more than 1 day fast can be a big challenge. I remember when I first tried to do more than 1 day fast, going to sleep on that second day was like murder. It was like, until I gotta go to sleep. But that was a hurdle. Got over that hurdle, and then, like I said, 3.
When you say break some yokes, what do you mean by that?
Well, that's what the Lord talk about. Talking about. You got some holes on you. You got like even addiction, strongholds, devils.
Yeah, devils. Yeah.
So that's getting to the point. You breaking some stuff off because you cutting out. You being more, because you can get away with something, doing something for a day, but you start multiplying and get up to string 3 of them together. Hey, you basically like, hey, we can start fresh now. We can start. You might not, people try to quit smoking. Smoking not a sin, but there's nothing wrong with not smoking. So you try to quit smoking, that can be real hard. But you string 3 days together, you kind of on your way. But now,
that's wild. 3 days.
Let's see.
That's a long time. That's 72 hours.
Yep, 72 hours. That's how long Jesus was in the grave.
72 hours.
Esther 4. Yeah, Esther. So this is when they was trying to, and sometimes you get in some crunches, and fasting won't be nothing compared to the problems you facing. So they was facing some serious problems. It was life or death here. 4 and 1. Esther 4 and 1. Go ahead.
When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out to the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, but none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maid and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hantok, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Go ahead.
So Haddock, went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate.
Go ahead.
And Mordecai told him all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
Also he gave him the copy of the writings of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in to the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
Mm-hmm.
And Hadad and Hatat came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake to Hatat and gave him commandments unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they told to Mordecai as words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape the king's house,
Mm-hmm.
more than all the Jews.
So this is the thing that's going on. It's life and death. So they gotta this guy that hate Israel, he done put out like a bounty on them, and they gonna kill the Israelites on a certain day. So Mordecai is trying to get, his niece to appeal to the king, who is her husband, but basically, she got to be called before him. So she's worried about that because she don't want to lose her life. So Mordecai trying to convince her she got to do something. And so she going to agree to do it, but she going to request something back in return. Like, look, we got to seek the Lord on this then. Go ahead. 14. We have Esther 4 and 14. And the question was, what's the significance of a 3-day fast? What's the significance of a 3-day fast? And I said, it's no real concrete biblical significance of a 3-day fast. To me personally, I like to think 3 is kind of like a little extra breaking point where it kind of, you going over past the break. Now you get 1 in, that's standard. 2 can be, you double up, but you get the 3. I'm thinking you really getting to the point of breaking some serious yokes then when you get to 3. And that's what, and like I said, it's the only thing I got symbolic on it. Jesus was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights, and this is an example. So she gonna specify. She didn't want just 1-day fast, or not just 2-day fast. She gonna tell you, give me 3. Because this is no joke here. Go ahead.
For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
Go ahead.
But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Mm-hmm.
Then Esther
so he told her, he said, well, you need to take your chances because you don't know this is why the Lord brought you here, and you ain't necessarily going to escape. And then if the Lord save us for some other direction, that'll be on you. But go ahead, that's verse 15.
Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer.
Okay, this was her answer. Tell them this. Go ahead.
Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me.
Fast ye for me. Go ahead.
Neither eat nor drink 3 days.
See, that's what a real fast is. Some people say, well, can you drink water? Can you do it? No, a real fast is nothing. That's a real fast. Anything else, you just follow the diet. That's cool. That's what it's just not a fast. So real fast is nothing absolute at all.
That's right.
No water, no drink. So she said, do this for me. Don't eat or don't drink 3 days, night and day. She ain't leaving nothing covered. Go ahead.
Another day, I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
Me and my maidens gonna do it.
And
go ahead.
And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
See, she's worried about how your life is on the line. So that's why I said when it gets, fasting is good, period. But usually, according to the Bible, the more you can string together, the better off. And to me, personally, 3 is like a breaking point. Because it was hard for me to get past, 1, but then it took a while to get past 2 and get to 3.
Yes, sir.
It took a while. So that's like a breaking point. And, like I said, when you get to 3, it's kind of like you basically can start some stuff over. Like I say, even after 3 days and 3 nights, Jesus came out the grave, because after that you start decomposing. You start, hey, you on a whole other thing then. So, and that's what the Lord talked about, breaking heavy yokes and all of that when it comes to fasting. So that's what 3 mean to me. This is the only good script I got where they did it 3 days and 3 nights like that. But other than that, fasting period is good. So whenever you can just do a day, that's good. That's all the Lord requires for a day of atonement. Just do a day. But you can put some more together, that's always good, because the more you can put your attention on the Lord and focus on spiritual things, hey, the better off you're going to be. So you got something you want to add on that?
Yeah.
So me and him talk about fasting a lot, done some fast together. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, that third, getting back to that 3, see, I see that God uses that 3 as I think when you really, he's ready to receive you.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it because even when he came down to speak to the children of Israel, he said, "Let's sanctify your clothes and do all that, and on the 3rd day,
Right, yep.
I'm going to come and meet with you guys."
That's right.
Right? And the same thing with David in there. When Saul was chasing David to go, and David had his book with him, and they was hungry. They went to the temple to show bread. Yeah. And the priest said, "Hey, you can't eat none of this because this is holy bread. And you guys are some vagabonds or something, right?" Right. And David said, "Oh, these men and I, we haven't had women over 3 days. Yeah. So we are just as common as the bread. Right. So the bread's holy." And so the 3 days of sanctification from them being indulgent, I guess, kind of make them parallel to God. Mm-hmm. So I look at that 3 right as a breakthrough to just even get an audience with God.
That's
okay,
right.
Now 3 days. Okay, now what is it that you need?
Right.
Right. We're gonna make your request known now. I'm here now. That's made sacrifice. I'm looking at them. Well, I hope he can make it back 2. You know what I'm saying? Make it back 3. What do you need? Right? And then the longer you stay there, like you said, the drawing out of God, what are you going to do? That's how he just said. He can stay there and he get closer to you the longer you stay in that fast, because you're going there specifically to you're shutting everything out. You're denying everything, including yourself, just to get an audience with your Creator. And since he's a spirit,
hey, you might well come up here.
Oh, man. Since your spirit,
we got a couple more questions. Now, come on.
Come on.
Because you ain't going to stop, so come on.
Come through.
No. Go ahead. Finish that question. Man. Yeah. I can go take it out.
So anyway, since, if you want to meet with God, then God is holy. So you got to be holy in order to meet with him, right? So flesh, he don't regard it at all, right? Then comes as a high priest, as that as not flesh, to make intercession for you. Even he on the 3rd day had to get about the grave. Now he's like, what do these people want? This is the Father, right? Because he's not hearing you. The Father don't even hear you. He don't even regard you. He only regards the Son. And he didn't regard him until he was 3 days. And so the 3rd day, now, if you want to get an answer from God, man, just go and sanctify yourself for 3 days and then, make your request known. Because God can't lie. And the fast that is acceptable to him, is that what you want in that Isaiah, right? If you want to get fast that's acceptable to him, then go through the necessary channels so them to be accepted. So he can, he can sit there and listen to you, man, and make an answer. Because he can't lie. He'll do what you say. You just got to be willing to go through the chains to get to it. Ring his doorbell. Hey, man, you want my doorbell? I'm right here. What you need? Come on. Right? The longer you stay, the closer he get to you. And just like when Moses came down off that mount, right, he wasn't the same. When he said the 40 days and 40 nights. You will not be the same the longer you come in with God. You just won't. You should, and here's where you go, and your faith is honored by your action of coming out the flesh just to meet with God. Because coming out the flesh to meet with him. Why is that? Because God is a spirit. And if you want to worship him, you must worship him in spirit. So just come out the flesh.
That's right.
Just do it. What you need? I bet your mama's sick and dying, you come out that flesh, or some other calamity is on you, you come out. Hey, man, fast for Brother Stevie, man, because, man, he on his deathbed. Man, don't you love me enough to bond me, to bond me like that? Or do you get my point?
Yeah, I got
so it's just that we're so selfish, and we're so covetous, and we're so in this that we can't even stop putting food in our mouths, man, to get an answer from God. Yeah. That's how bad we are. Wow. Right? Yeah. But trust me, when them daily sacrifices start, you can see people fasting regularly. Because see, the bridegroom ain't here. Is that what it said? Mm-hmm. Well, John asked John, why your disciples don't fast like we do? Right? No, they asked Jesus there, right? Yeah. Why don't you, he said, hey, why do they need to fast? I mean, the bridegroom there. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, when the bridegroom is gone, then shall they fast, right? The bridegroom been gone for over 2,000 years, people. Okay? So somebody should be doing some fasting to get us, because we can change our whole thing, man, by just believing God and doing what He's saying. But we're so selfish that we're not willing to do it, man. Me and my wife, we got it. I've been, how we are. We're creatures. We want creature features. Okay? Yeah. We want our flesh wants to serve. And all flesh. That's how come is in it dwelleth no good thing. Period. And if you are going to reach God, or you want to get into, even when you're reading this book, you cannot try to look through fleshly mindset or fleshly eyes to try to understand what God is saying, because it's not going to happen. You have to walk in the Spirit in order even to receive the things set up from the Spirit, right? So just, man, sacrifice, make the sacrifice. Because what it does is the results that you get from just doing it will make you say, hey, man, I know what I need to do. And basically all you're going to do is say to yourself, everybody know the place of their own heart, right? You know where you live, you know where you need to clean up at. I do too. I'm standing up here, I'm still scrubbing, man, trust me. But my point, we all know what we got to be, because if the Lord came today, and marked iniquity, are you sure you can get in there? My point, that's the question you need to ask yourself. Right. If He shut down today, say, look, I'm calling in Marcus today. Everybody. You'll get all this in. You guys say, hold you keep the Sabbath day, okay, but can you stand? Can I call you in now? Or do you have more cleaning up to do? Like I say, this is the things that you need to ask yourself. Right? Because it's really inevitably you have to be accepted by God to come to the house, but you got to be blameless and spotless. I'm not there yet. I'm just talking to you guys. Okay? But I'm on the road to doing that, because He told Abraham, walk before me and be thou what? Perfect. But the walk has to take place first before the perfection comes in, right? But if the Lord should happen to take you before your time or for what we think, are you ready to do that? Because your time is always, right? Yeah. So we don't know. We don't know, man. So, yeah, fast and pray, man, so you can get something else with what the power of fasting and prayer. Your enemy is supernatural. Right. He supersedes natural ability. Right? So the weapons that you got to use, they're not carnal. You can't use them. They won't work. They're none of right. But the weapons of our warfare, they're not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of what? Stronghold. Whatever got you bound, man. Everybody know ain't living here. Right? So that's why each soul got to work out his own salvation. It's you that's the problem. It will always be you that's the problem. It ain't never nobody. I wish I could blame you. All right, I lied. But it's not. It's me. So you have to overcome you to him that overcometh, right? Yeah. But it's you. So now that you have the tools, He's giving you tools, the instructions, the tools. Okay? How to do your work? Hey, man, some prayer don't take away everything. Is that what it say? Hey, Lord, how come we couldn't cast them devils out? Right. Remember that? Yeah. Now these boys were walking around the landscape with the power of God, casting out devils left and right, but they ran into some industrial strength. Okay? You understand? And they was like, they had been doing it, because remember, first they come, Lord, even the devils are something come touch. Right. They like, Lord, say, man, y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. That's supposed to be a given. Right? Yeah. If Satan believes God and trembles, doesn't it? What the book say, right? If you're walking in the power of God, how come He's not trembling for you? Wow, It to me has received them, to them gave you what? Power. Well, who power are we working with? It's the power of God. It's giving you, but you need to have go do the things to accessibility. This there, He can't lie. So especially if He can't lie, then you just get some of the problem with you then. Either you just don't want to make the sacrifice to come out of the flesh to be godly, or you don't believe God. It's the same, right? So why does sudden terror and destruction have to come upon you before you go into a fast? Why do he have to be laid up and on life support before you banned to do it? Why don't you just make it a part of a habitual thing that you just do? Right. Because the more you do a thing, the more it becomes habitual to do. Mm-hmm. So a 3-day fast becomes like 7 days. I'm not doing 3-day fast. I'm doing more than that. I'm doing 10. Because I've had some yokes on me. Bondage, like I say, bondage, straight up. Yeah, bound, fed, tired, gagged.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking to y'all. And I can confess that because when y'all die for me, it don't make a difference anyway. You get my point? So I'm just telling you that I understand what deliverance is, and in order to understand deliverance, you have to be in bondage to some sort to understand that there is deliverance, right? So my testimony to people is that, hey man, you know, when other men are casting out, you say, hey man, that's lifting up, man. Come on, this is how you do it, right? Right? And that's what you understand. But until you have been delivered, then you really don't understand bondage too much, right? So these only come out but by fasting and praying. Right. Only. Yeah. So there's some things that can be on you that I could pray, we could join hands, church, and agree, and we all could pray and know all, and it still won't happen. Because for many of you have not known the depths of Satan. Oh, depths? You mean not the 3 feet? No, I'm talking about the deep end, 25 feet. Depths, right? Yeah. And some folks have, but you don't want to be wrestled like that because the chances are, if you don't know what, you might not come out. Right? Depths, and he taking you under, and you ain't getting no air, and you know, right? That's what, and that's what happens when he binds you like that, right? You need to have the accessibility to the supernatural weapons, the supernatural power, which is beyond natural ability, because if it was natural ability, you would do it. You could fix yourself. You could do it. Because man, I just did it because I had the ability to do it. But you don't have the ability. So you have, especially if God has, you got some attributes in you that God sees and he want to use you. Satan sees so too, because there's no secret you can hide from him, right? So he said, yeah, that boy right there, if he ever turn to the Lord, he's going to be that's what I said, right? That boy right there, man, he got some things like that. I better watch him. I hope he don't never turn to the Lord, because remember, he already know, he doesn't worry about you as long as you're not serving the Lord, because he got you already, right? So, but when he sees the potential for you to be on the other side, and he's going to like, say, let me just grab him a little bit and just tighten him up a little bit. Because I don't want him to be a warrior, Brother Lord, because man, you get my point, the same zeal that you had doing evil, he don't want you to flip that zeal to do with the goodness. Because then you are, right? So Satan does not attack you unless you are a problem for him. Right. He got you. As long as you don't announce the Lord, it's only when you become a threat to his program that he will come to buffet you. And the Lord allows it, because if the Lord is choosing you, then he already knows, that he has to get out of you all the things that are unlike him. That's what purging process is, because he's got to be a vessel that is fit for the Master Jesus, right? You can have knowledge, you can have understanding, you can have all that, but that don't make you fit. Don't make you fit because you understand book, just because you know scriptures. Fit means that you've been working in the gym, baby. Been pumping. I'm pumping with you. I got you down spot. You can do 3 more minutes. Right? We keep each other, right? The iron's our iron. That's right. You're my brother's keeper, right? You better keep me. Are you crazy? Yeah. You better keep me, and I better keep you. You understand? It's a body. Is it a body? But if it's fitly joined together, then how you look at me totally different then, if that's the case, right? Your hand, I bet you when you're in the shower, you don't leave your hand out and watch it. My point. This is my point. If it's a body, then you need to think of it in the concept of it being a body, so that we can be our brother's keeper. Right? Because we're together. Whether you like it or not, it's better if you like it, though. Right? Right. It's better if you like it, because then we all, we can be terrified together. We're going to do what's necessary in order for us not to die. Remember I say us? Yes. Right? Body, yeah. It's body, right? Yeah. Right? Bear ye one another's burdens, so fulfill the law. So if I don't bear your burden and you don't bear mine, you can't even fulfill the law.
Wow.
That's how sin is. That's simple. So every man shall bear his own burden. Hey, everybody want to wear the crown, you don't want to bear the cross.
Yeah.
You ain't wearing this crown without bearing the cross, man. Right? So consider Jesus. Right? Is that right?
Right.
That's what he said. Consider who for the joy that was set before him. He saw something. What he do? Endured the cross. Despised the same, but he kept seeing what he, well, hopefully we all see. That's the only way he could take the snowball with the rocks and, but he endured it. Right?
Yeah.
And sit down on the right hand of the majesty on high. Right? So we consider him who would do such contradictions of sin against himself, lest ye be weary and faint in your mind. So you got to keep your eyes. You begin with him, the author and the finisher in the race, and you got to run it with patience. Can't try to skip. I'm gonna go outside and lay. Don't take short. But nah, can't do it. You can't do it, right? Yes, sir. You want to make me sit down? Now, ain't you?
No, I want you to take the question.
Okay.
This question answer, just remember.
All right, now. Yes, sir.
And what is that called? This happened to be once, maybe twice. But anyway, when you're laying down, are you just resting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. I could hear voices in the atmosphere, right?
Yes.
But I couldn't say nothing. All I could do was say Jesus in my mind.
Sure.
And after that, everything just got okay.
Okay.
So what do you call that?
Man, that is just called a visit. Okay? Right? Because they say what they say about the mind, the heart is desperately wicked.
Yeah.
Who can know it?
Right.
You don't even know it.
Right.
Right? That's why the Lord keep me from my secret faults. Is that right? So if it's a secret, who's the secret from? Even you. How many times have you done the thing you said, man, why did I do that? You don't even see it from you. Why in the world did I do that?
Yeah.
Right? Because you are sorry that you did it, but you know that if some other time you wouldn't have did it. But you did it. It was a secret from you. So you asking the Lord to keep me from my even secret faults that I don't even know I got, because I'm telling you, under all some pressures can be on you with everything that you say that you won't do, you'll do it.
Wow.
If you ain't fit.
Right.
Because you got to be fit. Fit means that you have done some degree of exercise or working out in the spiritual gym, so you're strong, be strong in the Lord, in the power of his might, because you don't have any. So therefore, you have to get in the program, exercise program that he has designed for you. Pump that iron, and that's basically just serving. Because see, your healing is in serving others. And that's instead of being selfish. Check this out. Your salvation is totally selfish. Ain't that something? Esau got to work out his own salvation. That's selfish, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can only gain it by being unselfish.
Yes. Gotcha.
You can't get it without being selfish. You can't get it being selfish. You got your personal salvation, which is selfish, can only be done by you being selfless.
Yes.
And he's showing you the example. Look not on our own things, but also on the things of others, right? Seek another man's wealth before thine own. Ain't that something? Wait a minute. What about me? Oh, then that's the breach in what you're going to get. Lord said, look, I know what you have need of before you even ask me, right? So why are you down there praying for you? If he know what you know, right, make your request known, but make your request for somebody else other than you. If he knows you got need of it, because fast is not for you bow down your head as a bull rush, right? That's a selfish fast. That's not the one that is acceptable. The fasts that are acceptable are the ones designed to break the yoke on everybody else but you. To deal your bread to the hungry. To bring the naked that are into your house, right? If you to break every yoke, right? Then shall thy light rise out of obscurity. Whatever you do with, right? This is what happens. And most of our fasts, most of our prayers are selfish, so it creates a breach in you receiving what it is that you want from God, because God could be selfish, because everything is his, right? The earth is his and the fullness thereof. So if anybody got a right to be selfish, he can, right? And it would be righteous selfishness. Right? But even with that, he's being totally unselfish because he's trying to give you everything that he's got. And trying to follow that example. Then he's laying it out. Hey, he's not seeking his own. And here's the real thing. To show you that it ain't just something that you do in the flesh. When you get into the kingdom, he gonna make you sit down as God and come forth and serve you. To show you this ain't just a flesh thing that I was just telling you about. Even when you get gulped out, I'm still showing you that this is just how you ride. Yeah, sit down. I'm gonna make you sit down. Man, that's humbling. And it is to be humbling. But how do we do it? When you exercise this servitude, it's a servitude mentality. Because we're selfish. We're not selfless. We're selfish. So those things, everybody. So those to be selfless, those practices have to be exercised to be selfless. When I get up in the morning, when I get on my knees to pray, make my Lord my prayer. I don't even talk about what I need. First of all, before I ask him for anything, I thank him for everything. And it takes me about 20 minutes just to do that. Lord, thank you, Lord, for Lord, thank you. I ain't gonna ask for nothing. And then when you get to thanking him for everything, ask for all the things you thank him for everybody that don't have those things that you got. Right? And then, right? Because the Lord is looking and he knows where you're faking or not. So, so you have to come clean with him. You're going to be a servant? Then serve somebody then. Don't get a title. Servant implies that someone is being benefited by a service that you are doing. Other than that, you just self-serving. And see, people think that here's the deception of Satan. And Satan have you think that you're serving, quoting scripture, everything, and you just really serving, you're doing it for you. And that's why the heart is deceitful. They have you thinking that you're right, but you're really not. Right? Make all your actions, all your motive operandi geared around someone else. At the end of every day, you should get a log of what you did and see who would it benefit. If it didn't benefit nobody, if everything was about you, you didn't work as a servant that day. You was taking off that. Okay. I'm just saying like this. I'm talking to me too. Because if we're going to be servants of God, then everything we do should benefit someone else other than you. That's what a servant does. Yeah. Ain't that right? But that's why many are called and few are chosen. Everybody cannot be selfless. Everybody, well, man, I got to take care of my house, but my wife, man, I don't know, man, I. And that's what happens. Well, I don't know, man, I don't know. I got 10, but I don't know if I can give you 5. Because well, who gave you the 10? See what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't you think he can give you 40? Yeah, he tests us. We tried every waking moment. And then what the book say he loves? He tries every moment. Right. That's how come he tell you to be. See, God is seen. God don't dwell in temples made with men's hands. You could build 1,000 churches, but that's not where he living. If he doesn't dwell in a temple made with men's hands, well, where does he dwell at? Because he's what he said, right? He dwells in you, right? So when you give someone on the street begging for money or whatever, and they haven't eaten in 3 days, and you say, man, here's $20. They say, oh man, praise God. They don't say, hey man, what's your name so I can praise you? Yeah. They praise God because God showed up. When what you did, because they were praying, Lord, please just give me as much so I can feed my little boy and my children, or my wife, whatever. And when you did it, God showed up. Listen, man, praise God, man. Think about praise God for you. Praise God for you letting God use you. And there's nothing better than having God praise for an action that you do. If you're a servant, it's like, yeah, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for letting me, your name be praised by an action, a work, that will let your light shine for men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. If your works ain't causing folks to glorify God in heaven, then check your works. Right? Did I answer your question? Okay, I know I kind of long-winded there.
Somebody else got something? Warm out.
Okay, well, I've been known to that. All right.
You gonna stand and face the rules?
Yes, sir.
Close up. Praise the Lord.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Father, which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be done,
on earth,
on earth,
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy shall endure forever.
And his mercy shall endure forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy shall endure forever.
And his mercy shall endure forever.
These things pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus' name.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Mighty One of Jacob.
The mighty one of Jacob.
The one true God.
The one true God.
There is no other.
There is no other.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Yes. Lord Elijah, I hope, pray that y'all have a safe trip back to the house.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And it's been an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
In person, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Same as you, brother.
Likewise.
Yes, sir, man. Praise the Lord. Yes, sir. Well, yes, sir.
I said,
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Love you.
Sorry, I'm
See you on the show.
Yeah. There you go. Praise the Lord.
All right.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be.